Our next popular broadcast aired from January 7th, 1941 to October 5th, 1952. It was created by producer Hyman Brown and based on the imprint given to the mystery novels of Simon & Schuster. In all, 526 episodes were broadcast. We proudly present to you Inner Sanctum.
Boris Karloff on Inner Sanctum Mystery. Brought to you by the makers of Carter's Pills.
Good evening, friends. Let me welcome you once more to the Inner Sanctum. This is Raymond, your host. Come in, won't you, and sit down? No, I'm not being polite. I'd prefer you to sit, you see. Because within the next 5 minutes, you're going to be so weak in the knees that you won't be able to stand.
Inner Sanctum Mysteries again has the pleasure of bringing you the famous star of radio, screen, and stage, now featured in the current Broadway success, Arsenic and Old Lace, Boris Karloff. This evening, Mr. Karloff appears in Robert Newman's dramatization of Edgar Allan Poe's famous story, The Telltale Heart. Presented for your entertainment by the makers of Carter's Little Liver Pill, the best friend to your sunny disposition.
Now our story. A story based on a tale by the greatest master of the macabre that ever lived, Edgar Allan Poe. The story of a man who could hear not only every sound on earth, but even things that don't exist. So, turn down the lights, call in a friend or neighbor to keep you company, and listen to Boris Karloff as Simon in The Telltale Heart. It's early evening. The sun is just setting behind a range of low hills. On top of the nearest hill is a huge rambling building surrounded by park-like grounds. A road winds from its gates down to the little village below. Down this road comes a man. He's tall, gaunt, his hair snow white. He's so busy with his thoughts that he doesn't see the small, dark man who sits by the roadside. But just as he is about to pass him...
Good evening.
Huh? Oh, why, good evening.
Nice evening, isn't it?
Nice? Why, it's the most wonderful, perfect evening I'll ever know this side of heaven.
You don't say.
You can't know what it's like to feel as if you've just risen from the dead. As if your tomb was opened, and you were told that you could return to the world that you knew and loved.
Can't I?
You can't. You see, my name is Simon. I was a musician. 2 years ago, I went stone deaf. Suddenly. Completely. Do you know what deafness means to a musician? It's like dying. Or worse. Like dying and knowing that you're dead. Oh, I went to doctors, but they could do nothing for me. But finally, one of them sent me to see the doctor who has the place up on the hill here.
Dr. Adair?
Yes, Dr. Adair. He kept me with him for 6 months, and now I'm going home again.
He cured you? You can hear?
Hear? Listen. Listen hard, and tell me what you can hear right now.
Nothing very much. The wind? Crickets?
Crickets and the wind. Do you know what I can hear? I can hear the grass growing, the sap rising in the trees. I can hear the stars moving in their courses. I can hear things that no man ever heard before. Now do you know why I said that this was the most wonderful evening that ever was?
Yes, Simon. But I knew why before. You see, I just left the place up on the hill myself.
You left there? You mean...
When I was taken there, I was blind.
Oh, your eyes, yes. I hadn't noticed before, but they are strange. Shall we walk on together?
Simon? Just Where did you plan to go?
Well, I've been thinking about that for weeks now. All the weeks when I couldn't leave my room. I must get used to being able to hear again. Gradually. From my window, I could see an old mill just this side of the village.
Yes, it's deep in the woods, deserted. There's moss on the water wheel, and the door hangs open by one hinge.
You mean that you can see it from here?
My eyes have become as good as your hearing. You thought of going there, living there?
For a while, until I was ready to return to the world. Oliver, why don't you come with me? Then when we are both ready, we can go back together to the world.
Yeah, I could do that.
Think of what it's going to mean, how much we're going to be able to help people. You with your sight and I with my hearing.
Help them? Yes. Yes, of course. All right, Simon. We'll go to your old mill.
This way, Oliver. Up this path.
What? Someone's coming.
The farmer, he seems to be looking for something.
Good evening. I'm looking for my cow. Have you seen her?
Well, what kind of a cow is she?
A brown and a white one with a crooked horn.
Wait. I hear her. She's grazing in a field on the other side of the woods.
Hear her? That's almost a mile from here.
I have good ears.
Good. You must have ears like a fox. But that field, that's the squire's. How did you get there?
You think someone took her? Who would?
Well, it's the squire's land, but he's the richest man around here. Why should he have taken my cow?
Wait a minute. Let me see. Yes. Yes, I do see someone with your cow. He's just leaving her.
You can see that? Right through the woods?
I have good eyes.
Who is it? What's he like? Is he tall, wearing a brown jacket?
Yes.
I knew it. It's the squire. He's trying to steal my cow. I'd better go get her. Thank you very much. Perhaps I'll see you both again.
Perhaps. We'll both be staying around here for a while there in the old mill.
Why did you tell him that, Oliver? Did you really see the squire taking his cow?
I saw what he wanted me to see.
What do you mean?
He hates the squire because the squire's rich and he's poor.
But what?
Never mind, Simon. Shall we go on to the mill?
Here we are. And it's just the way I knew it would be. Quiet, peaceful, no noises, just sound. And even those are dulled by the waterfall.
Yes, it's just the way I knew it would be, too. Dark, dank. The home of the rats and spiders. We'll be happy living here with them.
Happy with rats and spiders? Why?
Because they're like me. Rats see in the dark, and spiders spin webs.
I don't understand you, Oliver. Must you always see the worst, the most evil side of everything?
Always.
But why? Don't you love people? Don't you think that this is a good world?
A good world when I was blind for more than 2 years.
But whose fault was that?
What difference does that make? I was blind. And did anyone care that I was? No. Love people. I hate them.
But, Oliver, that's wrong. You've no right to hate anyone or anything.
What's that?
It sounds like wings, like... Yes, there it is, there. A swallow. Why, it's frightened, trying to get out. Why, it's beating itself against the wall and... Oh, poor thing, it hurt itself. Fallen to the ground. I'd better catch it.
Is it badly hurt?
No, I don't think so. Oh, just this one wing.
Let's see. Perhaps we can put a splint on it, heal it.
You think so? Here, Oliver. But be gentle. It's still terribly frightened.
I will.
Oh, Oliver! What are you doing to that bird?
Doing...
Blood, you've crushed the swallow, killed it.
Why, so I have.
You killed it deliberately.
You think so? I told you we all have some badness deep inside us. Even you. Here you are ready to believe the worst of me, that I'd wantonly crush a harmless little star to death and... Simon.
What is it?
I don't know, but there's something in your face. Something that wasn't there before.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going up to bed.
Simon! Simon, wait!
It wasn't he that was blind. It was I. Oh, he's bad, evil, clean through. He's like one of the spiders he loved so much, lurking here and spinning cunning webs to catch innocent people in. And what he saw in my face just now, there was something there. Something that wasn't there before. Death. Why did this have to happen to me? I was so happy just a little while ago. I loved everyone, the whole world. And now I have to kill him.
And here I am, friend, Raymond, your host in the inner sanctum, who also loves everyone. So, Simon has decided he must murder his companion. Not because he wants to, but in order to keep him from spreading the hate and evil he seems to love. That's a charming idea. But if Oliver's eyes are as good as he says they are, good enough to see death in Simon's face, how will he be able to do it, Quite a problem, isn't it?
Well, Raymond, everyone has problems. It's the answer that counts.
It certainly does, Mr. Hurley, in a mystery drama.
Yes, and in a domestic drama, too. If you don't believe it, listen to what Agnes Vale says to her husband at the dinner table.
Oh, Bob, you haven't said a word about the cake, and I baked it especially for your birthday.
After 30, no one wants to be reminded of birthdays.
Oh, that's silly. Besides, a person's only as old as they feel.
Well, if that was the case, I'd be about 60.
You mean 90. No one could save up the grouch you've got in only 60 years.
If you felt as irritable, low, and out of sorts as I have lately, you'd be grouchy, too.
Of course I would. Anybody would. So the thing to do is not to feel that way.
What can anyone do about it?
Very simple, my dear. Try Carter's Little Liver Pills.
Right, and when you don't feel good, try Carter's Little Liver Pills. They do the work of calomel but have no calomel in them, for they are simple pills made of vegetable drugs. They wake up the flow of one of our most vital digestive juices. When this vital juice flows at the rate of 2 pints a day, it helps to digest our food and bring back the glorious feeling that goes with regularity. Then most folks feel like happy days are here again. But be sure you get the genuine Carter's Little Liver Pill.
Well, friends, are you sorry I advised you to sit down before? No, I thought not. You still want me to go on with the story of the Telltale Heart? Very well. It's a little later that same evening, and Simon is sitting in the upper story of the old deserted mill, waiting, listening.
Sleep, Oliver, sleep. Aren't you ever going to sleep? Oh, I know you're lying down. I heard you getting undressed. I even heard the thread snap when you pulled that button off your shirt. But you're not asleep yet. I can tell by your breathing, the way your heart's beating. And that's what I must wait for. The time when you're really asleep. When you close those hawk eyes that can see even in the dark. That could read murder in my face when I didn't know it was there myself. Wait a minute. There. Now you're asleep. And now I must go. Easy with the door. Careful. And even more careful going down the stairs. Don't creak like that. Suppose he wakes. No, he can't. He won't wake up. He can't. And even if he does... here we are. The door to his room. How shall I do it? Those sacks he's using as a pillow. If I pull them out and held them over his face and smothered him, that's it, yes. Then I wouldn't have to touch him. I wouldn't.
Who's that? Who's there? There is someone there. I can see you. It's Simon.
Yes, it's Simon.
What do you want? What are you doing here? I know you've come to kill me.
Yes, Oliver. I've come to kill you.
But you can't do that. You can't.
Yes, Oliver, I can. And I have to. Oh, please don't struggle like that. I'm stronger than you are. You can't get away from me. You can't. You can't. That noise. Hear it? It's your heart. Beating, pounding, driving the blood through your veins. It's beating more slowly now. Slower and fainter. Running down like a tired clock. I'm not going to let you go until it's stopped. So don't struggle. Don't struggle, please. Just a few seconds more. I can hardly hear it now. Just a faint, throbbing murmur. And now, even that's gone. Yes, it stopped. And you're dead. Oliver, listen. I didn't want to do it. I didn't, but I had to. You were only interested in hurting people. That's why I had to do it. And that's why I'm not going to give myself up or confess that I killed you, because I could still help people. You understand, don't you? That's why I must get rid of your body, hide it somewhere. Oh, what am I to do with you? I know. I'll keep you here, tear up the floor and hide you underneath it. Yeah. Let's see now, this crowbar. And this one here, there. That should be big enough. And now, in you go. Goodbye, Oliver. Goodbye. Just put these boards back. Nail them down again with the same rusty nails. And it's done. Now I'll spread this dust over the cracks. No one will be able to tell what I've done. No, not even with your eyes. If you could still use them. What's that? A light. A lantern outside. Someone at the door. Maybe Christie's come back again. Yes? Who is it?
It's Trent, the constable.
The constable? What do you want?
Oh, nothing much. Thought I'd drop in. Say hello.
Come in, constable. Come right in.
Thanks. Weird time of night to be visiting, but I heard there were strangers living out here, and I thought I might...
Well, of course, it's part of your job to investigate strangers, isn't it?
In a way. Not that you're a stranger, exactly.
What do you mean?
Well, you've been around here for some time, haven't you? Up at Dr. Adair's place in the hill, I mean?
Oh, yes, of course. I just left there this afternoon.
Uh-huh. And your friend, where's he? Sleeping?
Friend? Why, there's no one here with me. I'm all alone.
What the doctor said. You mind if I look around?
No, of course not.
Not that I doubt your word or anything like that.
Oh, no, don't apologize, Constable. Go right ahead. Well, Constable?
There's certainly no sign of anyone else.
Well, I told you so.
Yes, you did. Well, I'll just sit down here for a minute. My pipe's going.
No, not there. Don't sit there.
Why not?
Because, well, it was just that the floor looked a little rotten right there, and I was afraid that... Oh, I guess it's all right.
Sure. Strong enough to hold me, anyway.
Don't stop me if I catch you. Good heavens. What's that?
What's what?
That throbbing. That noise. Beating away like...
I don't hear any noise.
But you must, you... Those ears of mine. Sometimes they're too good. It's just your watch ticking.
Watch? I haven't got a watch on me.
You haven't? But then what? Oh, look, Constable, I could use a bit of exercise. Suppose I walk you back to the village.
Well, it's mighty nice of you. I'm glad to have your company. But there's no hurry, is there? Just let's sit there for a while and...
I don't want to sit. Constable, will you come now? Now, this minute. If you don't, I don't know what I'll do.
Hey, you have gotten yourself into a state. Is anything the matter?
No, of course not. It's just that I get nervous, restless, and you won't mind if I walk up and down right here, will you?
It'll make you feel any better. Go ahead.
Thank you. This floor, it is noisy, isn't it? It isn't noisy enough. Constable, this lever here, I've been wondering about it. What's it for, do you know?
Why, yes. I think it opens the sluice, starts the mill wheel turning.
It does? Then let's try it. See if it still works. There.
Yeah, it works all right. Quite a racket, too.
You're not loud enough, Bill. Constable, for heaven's sake, will you come now and leave here with me? If you don't, I'll go back.
Look, there's no need to get so excited.
I'm not excited. I'm perfectly calm and quiet. Will you come now, right away?
But I told you.
I know what you're doing. Sitting there, pretending you haven't heard, making me stay here and listen to it, beating louder and louder and louder. All right, I confess. I killed him. His body is right underneath you, under the floor. I killed him, and that noise you hear is his heart. The beating of his telltale heart.
Hello, Dr. Adair.
Oh, Constable, hello. Well, did you find them?
Yes, Doctor. I'm glad. Some of my boys will be bringing the other one, Oliver, along in a little while.
Bringing him? The matter with him?
Well, sort of. They were in the old mill by the river. Simon had evidently tried to kill Oliver, but he hadn't done a good job of it. He nailed him up underneath the floor, and when we got him out, he was unconscious. He's still pretty weak.
I see, yes. Bring Simon in, will you?
Sure. All right, Simon. In here.
Yes, Constable?
Now, turn him around so that he's facing me. That's it. Well, hello, Simon.
Hello, Doctor.
Simon, why did you run away from here this afternoon?
Run away? I didn't run away. I left. What need was there for me to stay when I was cured?
Oh. And what you did, or rather tried to do to Oliver?
That was wrong. I know it was wrong, but I had to do it. He was bad, Doctor, bad. He hated everyone, wanted to hurt them, and I couldn't let him.
You know, it's strange, Constable. 2 men, both mental cases because of a sudden affliction. But while Oliver's blindness made him hate, Simon's deafness filled him with love for all mankind.
Deafness? You mean he's deaf? But when you talk to him, he answers you.
Yes, he reads lips. That's why I had you turn him around, so he was facing me. But he's stone deaf. He will never hear again.
What's that you're saying? Deaf? But I'm not deaf. Why, there's no one can hear better than I. No one. I heard everything when I left here. Things no man has ever heard before. The song of the swan. The breathing of the fish. Why, I even heard the beating of Oliver's heart. After I'd killed him.
Yes, Simon, of course.
I'm not deaf, I tell you. I'm not. I'm not.
So, Simon did hear all the things he said he did. even the beating of the telltale heart. And not with his ears, but with something else deep inside his poor, sick brain. Speaking of telltale heart, I'm sorry, it's not a heart at all. It's just Mr. Hurley's knees knocking together.
And if you think you're kidding, Raymond, you're crazy.
Oh, I'm not kidding, Ed. In Mr. Karloff's audiences, that's the equivalent of applause. Since everyone's generally much too scared to show the usual approval with their hands. So we won't take any chances. We'll just use words and say, thanks, Boris Karloff, for your splendid performance of tonight's dramatization of Poe's The Telltale Heart.
It was a pleasure, Raymond, to be able to bring our friends one of the world's most famous stories. And I'm very grateful to Everett Sloane as Oliver and Santos Ortiaga, who played Christie, for the help they gave me. So now I suggest that you listen to Ed Hurley, who has some helpful advice for which you may be very grateful.
This is Raymond again, your host, getting ready to close that door to the inner sanctum and say good night until the same time next week. In the meantime, if you care to do a little bloodthirsty reading, try this month's Inner Sanctum novel, I'll Eat You Last. It's the Brandon. In case you've already read that, why not try some of the other stories by the author of tonight's mystery drama, Edgar Allan Poe? According to all critics, this writer has quite a future. Oh, good night. Pleasant dreams.
Inner Sanctum Mysteries will be on the air again next Sunday night, same station, same time, with another killer for thriller fans. So be with us then. This is Ed Hurley, speaking for the makers of Carter's Little Liver Pills and reminding you, when you don't feel good, try Carter's Little Liver Pills, the best friend to your sunny disposition.
This is the Blue Network of the National Broadcasting Company.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
Following Japan's declaration of war on the United States, Hawaii has been under 2 air attacks today. More than 10 persons were wounded when enemy planes machine-gunned a town near Honolulu, according to a Reuters dispatch. And General Douglas MacArthur has ordered all women and children in Manila to evacuate the seacoast and move to areas inland. The Dutch East Indies has just declared war on Japan, and Costa Rica in South America has also declared war. Keep tuned to this station for further developments. Inner Sanctum Mysteries, brought to you by the makers of Carter's Little Liver Pills, the best friend to your sunny disposition.
Good evening, friends. This is Raymond, your host, welcoming you again to the Inner Sanctum. Come in, won't you? Why am I smiling? Oh, but I always smile when I open the creaking door on Sunday night. You see, each week when I say good evening, I think to myself, a good evening for what? And of course, there's only one answer to that question. A good evening for a murder.
Tonight, Inner Sanctum Mysteries brings you The Island of Death, an original radio mystery drama written by Robert Newman and presented for your entertainment by the makers of Carter's Little Liver Pills. Friends, a pleasant disposition shouldn't be just a once-in-a-while affair. It ought to be a regular thing. See if you can't make it regular by encouraging regularity with Carter's Little Liver Pills. Let them wake up the flow of one of your most vital digestive juices and prove to yourself that Carter's Little Liver Pills are the best friend to your sunny disposition.
Now I think we're ready to begin. Ready to begin as strange and terrible a tale as ever turned a man's hair gray overnight. A tale of voodoo, conjuring, black magic. Oh, now you're smiling. You don't believe in voodoo, huh? Good. Now turn down the light, pull your chair up close, and listen to the story of the Island of Death. Come with me to the Dark Island, the secret magic island, Haiti. It is night.
A fierce tropical storm is raging. The car drives slowly down the road with a cane field on one side of it, a jungle on the other.
Now which way?
I don't know, John.
Last Brandon. Why did he let us go off alone? How are we going to get back there?
But he told us not to go off alone, John. John, look.
Where?
Ahead there. That old maid is walking up the road. Oh, maybe he can...
Yeah. Hey, you! Hey! What's the matter with him? Is he deaf? Now, you keep blowing the horn while I put my coat on and go after Muriel.
All right, Jim. There's something wrong with it.
Hey?
It doesn't work.
Well, it was working just a minute ago. Now, what in the name of... So you did hear me. Why didn't you come when I called you?
I am not in the habit of coming when I'm called that way, monsieur. Besides, though I am an old man, my ears are very sensitive. The noise of your horn pained me. That's why I stopped it.
You stopped it? Why, you... Well, okay. We're looking for the plantation St. Jack. Are we on the right road?
You are on the right road for many days, Monsieur Cole.
Right. How did you know my name?
It was told me.
Oh. Well, how do we get there?
If you go down this road 1 mile, you'll see it on the right. And when you get there, well, perhaps we will meet again.
If we do, I'll... Say, where did he go to?
Oh, I don't know. He just disappeared.
Step back off the road into the jungle. Well, at least we know where we are now.
Yes. John.
Hey.
Do you suppose he was a papaloy, a witch doctor?
What on earth makes you think that?
I don't know. The way he looked and talked. And after all, the horn did stop working.
Toad? Is that you, Toad?
No, Alan.
Muriel. I'm sorry, Mrs. Toad.
Alan, you have to make things even more difficult than they are already.
Would it make things any easier if I pretended that we were just old friends? It didn't matter to me that you'd married him instead of me.
No, Alan, I guess not.
I'm sorry, Muriel. I shouldn't say that. Hello, Alan. Order me a drink, will you? Boy. Yeah, thanks for the coat.
Yes, Monsieur Randall. What?
Did you find out what was wrong with the horn?
Yeah, one of the wires come loose. Met an old native on the road, and Muriel's convinced that he was a witch doctor.
But it's just that he was so strange, and so, even though I know there are no such things...
What we know or believe isn't terribly important. What is important is what the natives believe. They don't like being laughed at. You mean they really still believe in voodoo, stuff like that? Well...
you're saying, monsieur.
Yeah. Do you believe in voodoo?
But not really, monsieur.
Oh, this is funny. This is really funny. Hey, what's that?
It's, nothing, monsieur. Just the heel hands doing the Congo.
No. Well, they can't have done a hard day's work if they've got enough energy to dance at night. I think maybe I'll go down there.
Oh, no, monsieur. No.
What do you mean I must not?
I am sorry, monsieur. I just meant, well, if you are interested in voodoo conjuring, perhaps I should show you some.
You can?
Oh, I am no papalois, Monsieur Brandon. I have some skill with the knuckle bone, telling fortune. And if Monsieur Coates would like...
No, why not? Go ahead, Pierre.
Very well, monsieur. There. An arrow 9 times. That means unhappiness.
For whom?
I see a city far away from here. I see 2 men, both in love with the same woman.
Yeah, easy, Alan. Let him finish. Go on, Pierre.
One of the men is rich, powerful. The other is not. The one who is rich has his rival sent away, and in his absence marries the girl. She knows she is making a mistake.
Oh, she does she? Why, you insolent!
John, stop!
How dare you hit him for 2 cents?
All right, Mr. Brandon. He did not hurt you.
No? Well, I haven't even started yet. You're fired.
That's the second coat.
Oh, Brandon. I had a hunch you weren't getting as much as you could out of the natives, that you were too soft with them. Now I know it. You're fired, too.
John, so that's why you insisted I come down here with you.
Of course. Don't you think I know that you're still in love with him?
Okay, Coach, you asked for it, and I'm
No, no, you're not, Alan.
I've got a gun here. Now, you stay where you are. I'm going down the field and
Really show them who's boss.
Alan. Oh, Alan,
It's all right, Johnny. Being fired doesn't bother me. But the other things, are they true?
That is really you are love. Maybe even I.
Mrs. Denver, excuse me, but I think you should know. The drum, it is not the Congo. It is the service paper. Marron is down at the drum.
What?
Who is Marron?
He's the most famous witch doctor on the island. Not maybe a swine, but he's hanging with him. Listen, Muriel, you stay here with Pierre. I'm going after John.
Where are you?
Yes, I'm looking for a man named Cimarron. You are Cimarron,
I am.
Another white man came down here a few minutes ago, Cimarron. Do you know where he is?
Yes, he said. He said he would pay well to see some voodoo. He said this kettle. He's in the Hupo, the temple.
What? There's no temple here in the village.
He is not. Come with me into this hut. That iron ring there, lift it up.
What's that door?
Now down the steps. Here's the Hupo. There is open.
Coach. John.
What do you want, Al?
Got to get out of here right away.
That's exactly what I've been looking for. The place where they hold their spookaroo.
Listen, John, I never did like you much, and I shouldn't really care what happens to you, but the white-haired native that brought me in here. You know who he is?
Sure. The old coot I met on the road earlier this evening.
He happens to be Cimarron, the most powerful papaloi in Haiti.
Yeah? Well, when I get finished with him, he won't show his face around this plantation again in a hurry. But,
Alan! We are ready to begin. Batman, I warn you. Mirango himself will be here. And there is no telling what step he will take. Whose body he will borrow.
never mind the warning. Go ahead.
Very well. Happy, come back. The drum. From on high, from little air, from the jungles of the night, come, Ida, come, see the body, loose its soul, point its feet this way, and come, Ida, come, there. He has taken the body. He's coming. Quick passage. The war water. Quickly on the ground in front of the altar.
Hey, what is this all about? What do they think they're doing?
The bells of death. He's coming. Either comes.
Something is coming. What do you mean? Something. Let's do this. Who or what it is? Not yet. Prepare.
Holy smoke. There. They're white. Either yonder. Come. Down.
A woman. A white woman. Walking as if she were asleep or in a trance. As soon as she gets to the altar, we'll be able to see. Oh! A great Scotty.
No! insisted there was no such thing as voodoo. Dared the witch doctor to invoke the god Yiranyango. And when the god did appear, he found he'd taken possession of the body of his wife. Very unusual. But not any more annoying than when a simple thing like a mean, sulky, gloomy disposition takes possession of us. All kinds of irregularity is entirely to blame. So the sensible thing to do is get right after it with Carter's little liver pills. Now don't let the gloom of irregularity hold you back. Keep you from enjoying life and getting ahead in the world. Wake up the flow of one of your most vital digestive juices with Carter's little liver pills. Let them help you to feel up and mad and bubbling with enthusiasm and alive with the glorious feeling that goes with regularity. Just give Carter's little liver pills a trial. And I think you'll agree that Carter's little liver pills can really be the best friend to your sunny disposition. All right. Do you still think voodoo is all nonsense? Oh, you're not so sure now. But you still want me to go on with our story. Very well. Just a moment later now, and Alan Brandon and John Coates are still sitting in the subterranean temple and
We left her up at the house. It can't be, but it is. She's in some kind of a trance. Blast that witch doctor, I'm going to... Stop the fool. Even the thing now that's been pulling up to that bar.
Where's the dear that we call again?
Look, they're all kneeling. Bowing to her.
You are nobody with the power we've given you. Let us see that Yankapum Father. By night and by day, through the 4 seasons, as the green things grow, watch over us, O Yida, and bless us.
Look, she's raising her hands. She's blessing them.
And now, the image, the goat without horn, take it in your hand, Yida. Breathe your spirit into it.
Look, that image. She's picking it up. Putting it to her lips. Oh, you black devil, I'll teach you. You idiot, what have you done? What I should have done before. Killed him. Probably killed not only him, but Muriel, too. Look. Yeah, she's just fainted. Let's get her out of here. Back to the house now, quick. Inside here. Put her on the couch. She's still unconscious. Her pulse is pretty weak. Here, some brandy, hurry.
Yes, monsieur.
Why did they let us go like that? Not even try and stop us. All of them just sitting there. Hey, I don't know, but I'd have been happier if
Here you are, monsieur. What happened to Madame?
That blasted witch doctor came around some kind of a ceremony with a goat.
He's blessing them. The goat without horns.
He must have hypnotized her or something like that. But he won't try any more of his voodoo tricks on her or anybody else. I killed him.
Killed him? Killed Cimarron?
Yeah, hold her head, Brandon, while I give her some of this brandy. All right.
Brandy. I am afraid that will not help, monsieur. You do not give brandy to someone who is dead.
Dead? What are you talking about?
Her heart is still beating, yes. But she is not really alive. You see, her soul left her body, and Cimarron called to her. When you killed him, it could not find its way back. It is out there. So, now, wandering around, lost in the night.
Why, no, John, haven't you done enough harm already? Well, we've got to get a doctor for her. Right away.
Yes, monsieur. For if her soul does not find its way back soon, it will never come back. But there is no white doctor that can help her.
Will you shut up? Where's the nearest one, Alan? Up the coast here, about 9 miles up the road. I'll show you the way. All right, well, come on. You stay here and watch them, yeah? And if anything happens to her...
Yes, monsieur. I will stay.
Are you coming, John? Hurry up. Yes, all right. Holy God, wandering around somewhere in the night. She's fainted, that's all. Maybe it's a fever and she's out of her head. Well, which way? Shortest way is that way there. You mean through the jungle? But it's dark. We won't be able to see it.
Listen, Coach. You may not know it, you may not care, but Muriel's life is in danger. I'm not sure a doctor can help her. But I'm going to get one if I have to crawl on my hands and knees. Alan. Wait. How much further? Are we going to have to go? I don't know. Can't be much further. Yeah. That's what you've been saying for the last hour. We're lost. That's what we are. Lost somewhere here in the jungle. And listen. Go. Yeah. And I don't care what you do. But I've had enough of this. I'm going that way. Coach, no, wait. Come here. Don't you realize it? Coach. Alan, look. A fire. We're out of the jungle. Hey, it's a village. Oh, Coach. Not a village. The native quarter of the plantation.
Huh? What do you mean?
I mean, we've been walking in a circle and we're back where we started from.
Why, it's impossible.
No, monsieur. It's not impossible. It is true.
Yeah. What are you doing here?
I knew this is where you would end up, so I came down here to wait for you.
It's a trick, that's what it is. You did this, the two of you.
No, monsieur. It was not us. It was he, the Maron.
But he's dead.
Yes, he's dead. But come over here.
The Maron. Lying and dead.
Yes, monsieur. And there in his right hand, an egg. It is the fast cat conjure. Mr. Coach, your life is in that egg. And as long as he holds it, you can never leave here.
Never leave? But I've got to. I can't stand anymore. Ever since I shot him. Those drums. The jungle surrounding us. Waiting. Now listen, Pierre. I don't care what it costs. I don't even care about Muriel. But I gotta get away from here.
Oh, but that is very easy, monsieur. The egg. If you will take the egg from Timaron's finger, smash it, you will be able to go.
Take it? But that means that I'd have to touch him and all right. I'll do it. He's holding it so tightly, almost as if... There. Here it is.
Drop it. Break it.
There. Now, can I go?
In just a moment, monsieur.
But you said that
Yes, monsieur. But I would not advise you to move at just this moment. Turn around. Slowly.
Snake? What's that? Deadliest snake there is.
Not just a bushman. It is Dambala. Look well at his face, oh Dambala. Look well so you will know it again.
That's for you, Dambala. I've had enough of this. Now I'm getting out of here and I'm taking Muriel with me. Start walking, both of you. Back to the house. All right. You stop right there. Now you listen. I'm going to get the car and back it up here. You're going into the house. And you're going to bring Muriel out here. Coach, she shouldn't be moved now, so you do as I say.
Perhaps we had better. Come,
All right. Yeah, just a second.
Yes, monsieur.
I'm asking you this as a friend. Isn't there anything that can be done? Any way she can be saved? You see, I love her.
I know, monsieur. But you know what is written. An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth. A life for a life.
You mean Cimarron? But she didn't have anything to do with that.
No. That is why I think she will recover. Now that what has to be done has been done.
Muriel, darling, are you all right?
Yes, Helen. I just feel terribly tired and weak. What happened?
You don't remember?
Well, the last thing I remember was John going down to the native quarter and you going after. Where is John?
He's outside getting the car. She'd never have thought you down here with him. He's going to take you away.
Away? Oh, no.
After all, he is your husband.
I don't care. I hate him. I hate him.
Madame was not alone in hating him. And, well, I do not think she will worry about him anymore.
What do you mean?
Somehow, I have the feeling that... Listen.
Hey there, Muriel. We'll go. Come on, Pierre. There's his car, but where's he? There he is.
Yes, monsieur.
John, what happened? Oh. Good Lord. Dead.
Yes.
What killed him?
Look there, monsieur. Crawling back into the jungle.
A bushland. The same one that... It can't be the same one. He shot it.
Perhaps it is the mate of the one who shot.
Wait. There's only one way the snake could have bitten. If it was in the car. How could it get there? Yeah. You did.
No, monsieur. The egg in Cimarron's hand. The egg with his life in it. Have you forgotten that he broke that himself? How do you believe in voodoo? You don't? Oh, now. Come here. Come here a little closer. I'll whisper something in your ear. Neither do I. And let me whisper this in your ear, folks. There are just 15 shopping days until Christmas, full of rush, hurry, and crowd. About all you can do is face things armed with a good disposition. So don't let irregularity get you down. Get after that low-geek, cross, irritable feeling with Carter's Little Liver Pills. Let them wake up the flow of one of your most important digestive duties and help turn those 15 shopping days into 15 topping days, full of the glorious, glad to be alive feeling that goes with regularity. Remember the name, Carter's Little Liver Pills. Yes, and remember this, too. Christmas comes but once a year. But year round, Carter's Little Liver Pills can be the best friend to your sunny disposition. Well, this is Raymond, your host again, getting ready to close that creaking door to the inner sanctum until the same time next week. And don't forget, there's safety in numbers, so be sure to have all your friends listen with you. Remember, all names of characters used on the Inner Sanctum Mystery broadcast are entirely fictitious. Now, if you should happen to get into an argument with anyone about whether the dead come back from the grave, about ghosts without horns, black magic, and conjuring, whatnot, remember the old saying. Voodoo unto others, and you would have them voodoo to you. Have you read this month's Inner Sanctum mystery novel, Trial by Fury, by Craig Rice? On sale at your favorite bookstore. Tonight. Sweet dreams.
Listeners, be on guard. Don't let it sneak up on you like a thief in the night. What is it? Listen to this report from the Harris home as Mrs. Harris says to her maid.
Hannah, I'll never give another party. I'm going straight to bed. Oh, before dinner, ma'am. I'm exhausted. All those chatty, noisy women depress me so. I wouldn't be too quick to blame the guests, ma'am. You've been kind of edgy and cross all week. Not like yourself at all. You're right, Hannah. I'm sorry. Oh, I know how it is. And when I get to feeling that way, I know it's time to try Carter's little liver pills.
Right. And when you don't feel good, try Carter's Little Liver Pills. They do the work of calomel, but have no calomel in them. For they are simple pills made of vegetable drugs. They wake up the flow of one of our most vital digestive juices. When this vital juice flows at the rate of 2 pints a day, it helps to digest our food and bring back the glorious feeling that goes with regularity. Then most folks feel like happy days are here again. But be sure you get the genuine Carter's Little Liver Pills. 25 cents at all drugstores.
This is the Blue Network of the National Broadcasting Company.
Our next broadcast is a supernatural fantasy series that ran from 1943 through 1945. There were 78 episodes produced altogether. The show's strength was stories from famous writers of the two genres, including Robert Louis Stevenson, Victor Hugo, Edgar Allan Poe, and even Charles Dickens. One of the more unusual aspects of the show was that there was no music, other than between scenes. Some have claimed that this lack of music helps to keep the show from being dated, as it remains fresh to this day. We present to you The Weird Circle on HOJO Radio.
The Weird Circle. In this cave, by the restless sea, we are met to call from out the past stories strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so all may know we are gathered again in the Weird Circle.
Welcome to the Ogden's Playhouse for another Weird Circle story. Tonight we are to hear a classic mystery tale from the pen of Elizabeth Gaskell. This is an unusual story in every sense of the word. Just as Ogden's Fine Cut is an unusual tobacco on every count. Ask the smoker who rolls his own cigarettes with Ogden's. There's an unusually fine taste and aroma to Ogden's. Try Ogden's and sample its goodness for yourself. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. And now tonight's Weird Circle story, The Old Nurse's Tale, by Elizabeth Gaskell.
Out of the past, phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale, the old nurse's story.
Hear that? That tapping on the window pane? Yes, I know. Tonight it's the wind knocking the apple tree branches against the glass. But long ago, we in the big house heard that rapping, and it was not sound made by wind, nor by any mortal means. I, Hester, have been nursed for many years to this house of Fernvale. I spend my days remembering and reliving the past. I recall how Miss Maud and her sister, Miss Grace, were the prettiest young ladies in this countryside. Their father, Lord Fernvale, paid little attention to the motherless girls, So wrapped up was he in music, which was his hobby. And so, when he invited Tony Sorrento, a fine young musician, into the house as his guest, Lord Fernvale was blind to the court Mr. Tony paid to both the sisters. I remember like it was yesterday, for I was only in the next room sewing. I remember when Miss Maud turned on Miss Grace.
Look here, Grace, somebody's got to wake you up. You're acting awfully silly with Tony. You're positively moon-eyed.
Oh, am I? Anyway, I don't giggle at the least thing Tony says the way you do.
Grace.
Oh, Maud, let's not quarrel. I've wanted to tell you something for a long time, but I've been afraid you'd laugh. Promise me you won't laugh.
I couldn't laugh looking at your serious face. What is it, little sister?
I'm just terribly in love, Maudie. And Father's going to have a fit, but I can't help it. I'm just awfully in love with Tony.
Oh, Grace, this will never do. Tony's no good.
Don't say that. Don't say it. And if there's anything you know, don't tell me because it's too late.
Grace!
Oh, Father,
where are you?
please don't tell him anything, Maud, please.
Girls, where are you?
Here, Father, in the library.
I wonder you wouldn't answer before I yell my lungs out. Maybe you two are ashamed to face me. Oh, I know what's been going on around here.
Nothing. Nothing's been going on.
We don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't you? Well, the whole town knows. Neither of you seem to care if our name is subject for the back fence gossips.
Get to the point, Father. What have you heard?
It's public knowledge that my guest, Tony Sorrento, has been courting both my girls, setting two sisters against each other. And you silly, stupid girls without pride or dignity, permit this trifling nobody, this musical dandy to make sport of you.
Don't talk that way about Tony. He hasn't been courting both of us.
I suppose, Grace, you think you're his heart's desire.
Father, don't be cruel. But Grace, Father's right. Tony has been making love to both of us.
Don't tell me. I won't listen. I don't believe it.
You've got to believe it, you little fool. Anyway, I've sent Tony packing, bag and baggage. You'll never see him again.
You what? Where is he? Where did he go? You've got to tell me. I've got to go to him.
Grace, use your head.
Oh, listen to me, both of you. Tony and I were married yesterday.
Married? That cheap fortune hunter married to my daughter? I'll not have him joined to our family.
But, Father, I'm his wife and your daughter. And he is your son in spite of you.
Oh, in spite of me, indeed. Not if I renounce you as my daughter. Get out. Get out. Get out of my house. And don't ever come back.
If death had taken Miss Grace away, we in the house couldn't have mourned her more sincerely. Soon Miss Maud married, and we believed it was to get away from the gloomy place and from her father, rather than for love. Lord Fernvale's temper turned more hard and bitter after that, lashing out at nothing at all. And then, one winter evening, after Miss Grace had been gone about 6 years, I was at the big house visiting in the kitchen when my husband rushed in, telling us Miss Grace had come back, and was at that moment standing at the front door. With her was a pretty little girl. We tiptoed, for we were only human, you understand. We tiptoed to the hall door to listen. But Lord Fernvale's voice would have reached us anywhere. We heard Miss Grace say,
Father, I've come back. Let's both of us forget our grievances.
You must be mistaken, young lady. I am not your father. I have one daughter living. Her name is Maud. Another daughter, Grace, died 6 years ago.
But I didn't die, Father. I am Grace. And this is Angelita, your granddaughter.
Mommy, I'm cold.
We'll be warmed up in a moment, dear.
I have no granddaughter, and only one daughter alive, who married suitably and well. You've come to the wrong house, young woman.
Oh, Father, you haven't changed at all.
Mommy.
But if you don't care about me, think about Angelita, your granddaughter.
Mommy.
Look at her, Father. She looks just like you.
I'm awful cold, Mommy.
I'm not interested in the child, nor in you. You must not persist in this madness till I'm your father. I tell you, my daughter Grace is dead.
All right, Father, if that's the way you want it. But don't forget, I'm your daughter. And I, too, can be hard and revengeful and mean. And I swear to you, I'll hurt you some way. Somehow. I won't rest until I make you suffer. I'll make you suffer.
You'd better hurry to the village. You may be in time to catch the late train. Good night.
We all stood like stones, so frozen we were about what we'd heard. It was a cruel night for a woman and a child to be walking to the village, for there was a bitter wind rising, and snow was beginning to fall. My husband wanted to sneak out the back way and find Miss Grace and the little one and hide them in this cottage here. But the master must have guessed our intentions, for he called us in and gave us all tasks to do, just to keep us busy and thwart our plans. When we'd finished, we thought Miss Grace and her child had surely reached the train by that time. But in the morning, as I walked across the back hillside pasture where the sheep graze, Timothy, the shepherd, called.
Hester! Hester! Come here! Quick!
What in goodness name is it, Tim?
Here! Look behind the pine tree. Against the rock.
Oh, merciful heaven. It's Miss Grace and the little one. Frozen like statues.
I heard about them coming to the big house. They must have got off the road and got lost in the blinding snow last night.
Oh, Timothy, it's awful to see them sitting there. I can just imagine how Miss Grace and the little one groped their way up the hillside and thought they'd take shelter behind the pine tree against the rock. Oh, the poor lost things.
Mind you, Hester, how the big rock is just like a stone chair for her and the little one. Well, maybe their souls have peace and rest now.
I wonder after all that's happened and the way they died, I wonder if their souls will ever find rest. We never knew how the master felt about the tragedy, but it was plain to all he was a softer man after that. Though, whether it was the death of Grace and the child, or good news that came within the week, or both together that changed him, it's hard to say. For Maud gave the house of Fernvale an heir, the Master Robert. Lord Fernvale was fairly bursting with happiness and pride. He couldn't do enough for the boy. Lady Maud often brought Master Robert to visit at the house, and we all agreed he was an uncommonly fine, bright boy. We'd nearly forgotten the tragedies of the past, but we were soon to be reminded of them with awful clearness. When Master Robert was going on 6 years old, Lord Fernvale sent word to my cottage for me to come to the house and see him.
Hester, my daughter Maud and her son Robert are coming to stay several months this winter with me. Her husband has business in the Far East. I would like you to act as nurse to the boy.
Oh, sir, I'd be very pleased. Master Robert's such a sweet child.
Robert's the only heir to carry on our family name. I want you to take very good care of him.
Oh, indeed. I shall care for Master Robert like he was my own son.
Hester, I'm an old man. I want peace now. I want Maud to be happy here. She's never been told about the death of Grace and the child, Angelita. We Fernvales are not very forgiving. I can't say how Maud would react if she knew the circumstances under which her sister and niece died, but what's past is past, and I can't change it now, Hester. I want you to promise me you won't ever speak of Grace and of past events.
Please don't say another word, sir. You can be sure I won't speak of what's none of my business. How could I know that this would soon become very much my business, and that I would be tempted to break my solemn word to the master? Indeed, we were all so happy the first few days Lady Maud and young Robert were with us, that it hardly seemed possible our household had ever been anything but happy. And then one day, I was playing a game with Robert on the library floor, and his mother sat knitting and smiling at us, when we heard a light tapping on the window. I doubt Robert's mother or I would have noticed the sound, but Robert dropped his toy and looked toward the window.
Mommy, I'll bet that little girl comes to play again. Oh, I can't see her very plain.
Little girl? I didn't know there were any children around here.
Oh, there aren't any, ma'am. There's not even a house within 3 miles of us.
Yes, that's true. What little girl would be walking 3 miles in the snow just to see you, Robert?
I don't know her name yet, but I see her most every day. She stands outside the window and knocks like that till I notice her. And then when I go out, I can't find her anywhere. There. You hear that? You just wait. In a minute you can see her. You'll see her playing.
But if she's knocking on the window, why can't we see her now?
I don't know. She comes and goes. Just like a shadow.
What does the little girl look like, Robert?
Oh, she's just a girl. She's awful cold, though. She just shivers and shivers.
Well, friends, as Elizabeth Gaskell's absorbing story unfolds, we shall see that young Master Robert seems headed for an undeserved fate because of his grandfather's unreasoning cruelty. We shall see, too, that the appearance of the little girl at the window is only the beginning of a chain of events of startling nature. But now, let's talk of the chain of events that lead to complete smoking satisfaction if you roll your own cigarettes. The first step is a visit to your tobacconist and the purchase of the handy green package labeled Ogden's Fine Cut. From there, the process is a smooth series of adventures in smoking enjoyment for the roll-your-own cigarette smoker. Just try the rich goodness of Ogden's. It's roll-your-own smoking satisfaction at its best. See how uniformly Ogden's rolls into a cigarette of fine consistency, a superior smoke every time. The popularity of Ogden's has been attained with good reason, for Ogden's is your guarantee of consistent, high quality. Try Ogden's. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. And now back to our story. Grace Fernvale enraged her father by an unsuitable marriage. When she returns with her 5-year-old daughter, Angelita, Lord Fernvale insists Grace is dead and refuses to let them enter. Grace screams that somehow she will make her father suffer. The following morning, the bodies of Grace and the child are found in the back pasture, frozen like statues. Lord Fernvale's other daughter, Maud, has married, and her small son, Robert, is loved by his grandfather. Robert tells of the shadowy figure of a little girl he sees outside the window, who beckons him to come to her. Maud, Robert, and his nurse hear the tapping on the window, but only Robert can see the little girl.
See anyone, Robert? Where do you see her, Robert? Where is she standing?
Right there. Right smack in front of the window. Oh, Mommy, I want to go out and bring her in so she can get warm by the fire.
All right, Robert. Bring the little girl in. Oh, ma'am, don't let him go out there, please. Can't you see? There's no little girl outside the window.
There is, too.
Hester, I'm going to prove to Robert that the little girl he thinks he sees is imaginary. Now, run along, Robert. Put on your coat and go bring in that cold, shivering little girl.
She wants me to hurry up. Say, Mommy, you know something? The little girl looks a little like you. Well, goodbye, Mommy. Goodbye, Hester. I'll get her.
Oh, saints preserve us, ma'am. Now I'm sure of what I'm sure of. What are you sure of, Hester? Oh, I can't tell you, ma'am. That's what I thought. Hester, the people around this countryside believe there's a ghost up every chimney. I was half frightened out of my life by the ghost stories I heard when I was a child. Now, I don't want Robert to believe those old superstitions. But how do you account for the knocking, those taps? I can't account for them right at this moment, but if I took the trouble to investigate, I'm sure I'd find some logical, reasonable explanation. Well, if you'll excuse me, ma'am, I want to run out and see that Robert's all right. Wait a minute, Hester. I'll go with you. We'll all three of us look for that little girl. Robert's mother and I got outside the house quickly, and we followed Robert's little footprints in the snow to outside the library window. His mother said, "Well, here are just Robert's footprints. There are no others anywhere around." That's how I thought it would be. Come now, Hester. Don't make a mystery out of nothing. You see, Robert's footprints lead around to the back of the house. He's probably gone to the kitchen to beg a sweet from the cook. Yes, ma'am, I see. But I think I'll follow on around if you don't mind. I think I do mind. I don't like the fear and hysteria in your voice. Robert will sense it, and then he really will imagine he's seeing things. Go in the house, Hester. I'll get Robert. It seemed hours I waited in the house. I remember I went from room to room, pressing my face against each window, looking for Robert. I could hear his mother calling, first softly with confidence, then louder and louder. Finally, I knew she was frantic and afraid. I thought of Grace's last words to her father. "I won't rest till I make you suffer. I'll make you suffer." Cold fear like pencils clutched my heart as I thought of little Robert, the only heir to the family of Fernvale, and how through him terrible vengeance could be wrought. Finally, I heard the front door slam and voices in the hall. Father!
What's wrong, Maud?
Father, I can't find Robert. I followed his footsteps to the back of the house, but then I lost them. So many people had been walking there.
Oh, now, calm yourself, Maud. The boy can't have gone far. But, where was Hester? Why wasn't she with him?
Oh, it was my fault. All my fault. I wouldn't let her look for him. But call everybody now. Everybody. Get everyone out to look for Robert. I got ready as fast as I could and joined in the search. And I started straight for a certain place I knew so well. For I had notions of my own about where Robert could be found. But I'd only gone a few steps when Lord Ferndale saw me and called.
Esther, where are you going?
To the back pasture, sir.
Wait a minute, I'll come along. Why would Robert wander over to this rocky, lonely place?
I don't think Robert wandered alone, sir.
What do you mean, Esther?
Don't ask me, sir. You'll think I'm crazy.
Wasn't it here somewhere that Timothy found Grace and her child, Angelita?
Yes, it was. We've only a few steps more to the pine tree and that rock that's shaped like a chair. Oh, come on, sir.
Esther, do you believe that curses and threats can be effective after death?
I don't know, sir. There's some who claim they've known of such things, but I'm sure I don't know. Around this way, sir. Around the tree.
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Oh, little Robert. Look at him. Sleeping on the very rock that's like a chair.
Great heavens, is he alive? Is he breathing?
Mommy.
Oh, he's alive. So cold. So cold.
Here, wrap him in my coat.
I brought a blanket.
Esther! Father! Where are you?
Here we are, Maud. Come around the big pine tree. We found Robert.
Oh, thank heaven. Oh, how did he get here of all places? And what's happened to him? Oh, he's unconscious.
Auntie Grace. Oh, Auntie Grace. Where's Angelita?
Aunt Grace. My sister. Why, Robert didn't even know he had an Aunt Grace. And who's Angelita? Pay no attention. He's a bit delirious. It's just a strange dream.
Yes, a very strange dream. Esther, run ahead and get the doctor.
For days and nights we fought for Robert's life. In his delirium, Robert kept up a running conversation with Aunt Grace and Cousin Angelita, first with one and then the other. And Lady Maud asked me so many questions which I dared not answer, for I'd promised the master. We took turns sitting by the bed, and as I sat alone one night with Robert, I felt what a terrible power hatred is. For I had no doubt but that Robert had been led to the stone chair where the bodies of Grace and Angelita had been found, and that he had been led there through the hatred and vengeance of Grace. And then I thought, doesn't love, too, have power? Indeed, aren't we taught that love is greater than hatred? In fact, greater than all else. And then I said aloud, Grace, don't hurt Robert. He's never harmed you. Let the child go. Let go of your hatred. What's done is done. Forgiving is a happier way than hating. Listen to me, Grace. Forgiving is a happier way than hating. And true as I'm sitting here, from that night on, Robert turned for the better. In a few weeks, he was up and about, his bright little self playing again. And I was not surprised when soon after Robert's recovery, his mother came here to the cottage to see me. Hester, I've heard rumors and whisperings at the house, and I've overheard things in the village. I know something about my sister Grace has been kept from me. I want you to tell me what it is. I thought you'd asked me that before long, but I promised your father never to speak of it. What's past is past. Why not let it be? Because I think I have a right to know. Strange things have happened, and I want to understand them. Now, why not ask my father to release you from the promise of keeping silent? Will you give me your word to hold no grudges? No matter what you hear, will you promise to be forgiving? Yes, Hester. I promise. Then I'll go back to the big house with you and speak to your father. I'll get my coat. Hester, do you notice there's a strange light in this room? A red glow. Oh, ma'am. Look out the window. There's fire in the big house. It's the reflection we see. Robert's in the house. Oh, come on, Hester, quickly. We must save Robert. We must. We must. We ran as fast as we could across the snow-covered lawns to the big house. But by the time we got there, it was a mass of shooting fire. It seemed to me that if anyone were inside, he could never get out alive. In front of the big house, men were trying to hold someone back. It was Lord Fernvale, struggling desperately.
Let me go, you fools! Let me go, I tell you! Hold on now, sir. It's hopeless, sir. There's Robert's inside. I've got to go. Let me go.
Robert, it's no use.
Nobody can stop me. Let go of me, you fools!
Oh, heaven help him. There he goes. That's the end of this house.
Yes, the house crumbled and fell, burning to the ground. And the head of the proud family of Fernvale died with it, for he had rushed in to save Robert and had perished there. We thought Robert had perished too, but as we stood there, fairly paralyzed with grief and shock, we heard Robert's voice.
Mommy! Mommy!
Robert! Robert! Oh, child! I can't believe my eyes. You're not real.
Sure I'm real. Only Angelita isn't real. She told me she isn't. She couldn't even light the fire.
What do you mean? What do you mean to light the fire?
Well, she came to the window again, and I asked her in to get warm. But the fire was out, so I tried to make a big light in the fireplace with papers and things.
Go on, child. Then what happened?
Well, Angelita said she wasn't real and she couldn't help me. So I did it all by myself. But, Mommy, somewhere your shawl that was on the chair by the fireplace got a burn on it, and then the shawl lit up the curtain, and just everything began to burn.
What did you do? How did you get out?
Oh, I wanted to stay and see it, but Angelita made me run. We got out through the French windows and ran up the hillside where Angelita's mommy lives in the snow. And Hester, Auntie Grace said I was to come back and tell you something.
Robert, your Aunt Grace doesn't live anywhere near here. Dear, you mustn't make up stories like that. Let him tell it, ma'am. Let him tell it.
Well, Auntie Grace said she's sorry for what happened, and she says she doesn't hate anybody any longer.
What is Robert talking about, Hester? We'll have a talk later, ma'am. I guess now this family can live in peace, without fear of vengeance and old hatred.
Oh, yes. Auntie said I must never forget some words. She said I must remember that forgiving is a happier way than hating.
Oh, Robert.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought to you the old nurse's story. Bell keeper, hold the bell.
Life has many an unexpected surprise. The touching climax in tonight's presentation of the Ogden Playhouse is an excellent example. So, too, is the pleasant surprise awaiting smokers who roll their cigarettes with Ogden's fine-cut tobacco for the first time. It's a surprise that means smoking satisfaction. What's more, it's a happy surprise you can enjoy with every cigarette rolled with Ogden's fine-cut tobacco. Try a package. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Next week at this time, another Weird Circle mystery play, The Middle Toe of the Right Foot, by Ambrose Bierce. Join us, won't you? If you smoke a pipe, try Ogden's Cut Plug. It's a cool, fragrant smoke. It's a delight in a pipe.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. Stay tuned.
The weird circle. In this cave by the restless sea, we are met to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so that all may know we are gathered again in the weird circle.
The Weird Circle. In this cave by the restless sea, we are met to call from out the past stories strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so all may know we are gathered again in the Weird Circle.
Once again, it's Weird Circle time at the Ogden's Playhouse. Tonight, we are to hear an adaptation of the Ambrose Bierce story, Middle Toe of the Right Foot. To the mystery story fan, tonight's presentation promises keen listening pleasure. To the smoker who rolls his own cigarettes, Ogden's Fine Cut promises smooth smoking pleasure. It's a promise that comes true with every cigarette rolled with Ogden's. That's why we call attention to our standing invitation to try Ogden's when in need of a cigarette tobacco. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. And now the Ambrose Bierce story, The Middle Toe of the Right Foot.
The Middle Toe of the Right Foot.
Well, there it is.
So that's the old Manton place, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a run-down farm. Weeds growing rank all over and the house rotting away.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone will show up to claim it tomorrow?
Gertrude Manton's brother's been notified. That house has been empty now for 10 years.
You think Manton will show up?
I wish he would. Manton killed his wife and children there.
Well, what happened to this fellow Manton?
I don't know. Never found a trace of him yet.
And you, a deputy sheriff? Better shine up your badge and get busy.
I'll find the murderer someday. Somehow.
Well, no wonder the ghosts live there. It gives me the creeps. Now, look, even the trees are all leaning to windward, trying to get away. Come on, let's drive on.
All right. Come on. Yeah, Ross will be waiting at the hotel. We better get along.
Why don't you look where you're going?
Why, I'm sorry. I was only...
Get out of my way. Some people are the clumsiest. Clerk.
Good day, sir.
I want a room.
Yes, sir. Gladly. Will you sign the register? Front! You will have room 212, Mr. Grossmith.
Oh, Mr. Grossmith, I think we've met, sir.
What?
Bumping acquaintance in the screen door just now.
Well,
Allow me to introduce myself. Ross, sir, editor of the Marshall Advocate. Glad to welcome you to our city. Are you here on business?
If I am, it's my own business.
My mistake, stranger. What a horned toad.
Well, sir, here we are.
Hello, King. Oh, you must be Mr. Sanchez.
Yes, sir.
How do you do, sir? Welcome to Marshall.
It's good of you to meet us here, Mr. Rosser. We county politicians, like the deputy here and myself, can't get along without you great men of the press.
Oh, shucks.
Come on over here and sit down.
Right.
Now, you want to talk about the Manton house first or the corner?
Oh, wait a minute. First, let's order something long and cold, huh? The Manton place will take care of itself.
It's a good idea. That was a hot drive. Well, now, about this candidate for coroner, Rosser.
I can't see, King, why a man can't be a good coroner just because he's got a cast in his eye.
Well, you know, Rosser, I have a theory that any physical defect goes with some mental or moral defect. Just can't help myself. I hate and always hated any kind of deformity in a man or in a woman.
I infer then, Mr. King, that a lady lacking the advantage of a nose would find it a hard struggle to become Mrs. Thomas King. Eh?
Well, put it that way if you want, but seriously, I once nearly married a most charming girl who... Well, I was a kid lawyer studying at Harriston. Each time I came home here, I rushed over to the Brewers. I think I was really in love with Gertrude Brewer. She was lovely. Then, one summer afternoon, we were in the orchard. Her young brother was helping us gather fruit.
Oh, Tom, it's such fun to have you home, even if for only these short visits. How's everything?
Oh, just fine and dandy. Oh, I've so much to tell you. They made me deputy sheriff.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah. Can't I see you alone this evening? Let's walk down by the river.
Oh, I'd love to, Tom.
Sis!
What is it, Ned?
Here comes Manton. He's tying up his team down by the gate. Oh, Gertrude, I can't stand that man. Why do you let him come here?
Why, he's very amusing, Tom, and very nice.
He's very prosperous. But I agree with Tom, sis. He's a queer duck. Got queer ways. Well, Ned, what do you mean? Well, I went after Partridge with him, and he uses the craziest contraption. Yeah? How's that? He's taken a long, straight branch, stripped it, and on the end he's fastened a loop of wire that's sharp as a razor blade.
A razor blade?
Yeah. He sneaks up on a bird, then gets the loop over its head, and gives a quick jerk. And presto, bird's dead. Throat cut.
Oh, Ned. Why does he do that?
Well, there's no shot to scare other birds. Well, that's true, and a good idea if you want slaughter instead of sport. And when he's doing it, Tom, his eyes look so queer. Oh, Ned, here he comes. But I'll see you alone tonight, won't I, Gertrude, dear?
Yes, Tom, of course.
Afternoon, Miss Gertrude.
Hello, Mr. Manton.
Just thought I'd stop by to see the prettiest peach in the county.
Oh.
Hello, Ned, my boy.
Howdy, Mr. Manton.
Why, Mr. Manton, look. Your hands are stained.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Miss Gertrude. I've been doing a pretty job of butchering. Finest calves you ever saw.
Oh. This is our friend, Tom King. He's been made deputy sheriff.
Oh, good old law and order. Well, howdy.
Don't you ever take your cattle to market on the hoof?
Oh, prefer it my way. Besides, makes for tenderer, whiter veal. Well, young woman, you look mighty near perfect today.
Mighty near? I think Gertrude looks perfect always.
Well said, young sheriff. I guess by and large that everyone will agree that Miss Brewer here is an absolutely perfect specimen. No flaws, no faults.
Now stop it, both of you.
Well, as her brother, I'll say she's easy on the eyes. But a perfect specimen? Ha. No, she isn't.
Now, Ned, behave.
Ned, what are you talking about? Yeah, you tell him, sis.
Oh, the boy's crazy. What's he driving at?
Well, it's all so silly. I don't know why Ned mentioned it. But the fact is, if you must know, I have only 4 toes on my right foot. No middle toe.
What?
Cut off by accident?
No, I was born that way.
Oh, a branded filly, eh? Well, you'll never stray from your owner, will you?
Gertrude, I never knew that.
Why, it's of no importance, Tom. I never think of it.
It's cool here under the trees. Mind if I sit on the bench?
Oh, not at all, Mr. Manton. Here, I'll make room.
Take my chair, Manton. I'll be running along.
Oh, Tom, already?
Yes, I've got some business in town. Important, really. You'll excuse me, Gertrude? So long, Ned.
Forgetting me, eh?
No. Goodbye, Mr. Manton.
Oh, see you tonight, Tom. Goodbye for a little while.
Well, gentlemen, I didn't go back that night, and that goodbye was not for a little while, but for a long time.
Do you mean a defect in the young woman's foot made such a difference to you, King?
Yes. It's a curious obsession on my part, but I know that if I'd married that girl, I should have been miserable, and would have made her so.
And if the girl cared for you...
She couldn't have cared too much for King, for she soon married a gentleman with more normal views.
You mean Manton? I get it. That horrible house we passed today. But you said Manton killed his wife.
Yes, he did. Hey, wait a minute. Who's that coming out of the door? It's familiar looking. Oh, but it couldn't be.
His name's, Grossmith.
Grossmith, huh?
Yeah. A cheerful bounder if I ever met one. Nearly knocked me down when he arrived this afternoon. Bit my ear off when I tried to speak to him.
Well, no interview?
No interview. What a nerve. He's sitting down right near us.
Well, I'm interested in this story of King's. Tell me more about the Manton case, King.
Your friend seems to be choking.
Let him choke. Go on, King.
Well, there's not much more to tell. I spent several years in the county seat before I came back here. The next time I saw Gertrude Manton was one day 10 years ago. I was in my office when I heard a knock on the door. Come in.
Tom, it's I, Gertrude Brewer. Gertrude Manton.
Gertrude! Oh, it's good to see you again. Why, you look...
Don't try to be polite. I look old and tired and scared. And I am.
Well, what is it? Here, sit down and tell me. Tell me how I can help you.
Will you help? Ned's away and I'm in such trouble.
Well, I've heard gossip that things aren't going so well at the farm.
They're not. It's awful. There are no more cattle.
No more cattle? Well, in heaven's name, why?
My husband's killed them all. He cuts their throats.
Oh.
It's just sort of a passion with him. There were no more calves, so he killed our bull. Then he started on the cows. Our lovely, gentle cows. Every so often, my husband's eyes get a strange, glassy look in them. He whets his slaughtering knife and sort of fingers it with an awful smile on his lips. Tommy's crazy. He ought to be put away, but what must I do?
Oh, now, Gertrude, dear, of course I'll help you. Take it easy. Now, don't cry.
I won't, but Tom, he cut the throat of our last cow yesterday. I'm so frightened. It's having a terrible effect on the children.
Now, see here. Everything will come out all right. Please stop crying. I'm going to get Dr. Carter, and we'll drive out first thing in the morning.
You will?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I won't be afraid anymore. Thank you, Tom. We'll see you tomorrow morning, then. Goodbye.
It's good of you, Dr. Carter, to drive out here. Miss Manton's an old friend of mine.
Well, she's a fine woman, Tom. Oh, but that husband.
Yeah. Doc, I want you to look him over. There's something very wrong.
Oh, Nellie. Oh, lovely sunshine. A lovely day out. What a gloomy place this is.
Hello, Gertrude. Gertrude! Huh, she doesn't answer.
Well, let's ring or knock or something.
I'll try the bell.
Look here, Tom. The door's open.
Now, go on in. Gertrude! Where are you?
This house has the emptiest feeling. Are you sure she knew we were coming?
Well, we arranged it only yesterday. Oh, she must be here.
There's no one in this room.
Oh, let's go upstairs.
Yes, you better. Come on.
Doc, wait! Look, here on the stairs. This stain. It's sticky.
That's blood. Dripping from... Hurry, Tom. Hurry up here. Good Lord. There's a boy lying by the banister.
Oh, his throat is cut. Gertrude! Gertrude! Where the devil is she? Doc, try the bedroom door.
Tom, in here. It's Mrs. Manton, lying across the body of a little girl. Both their throats slit from ear to ear.
As tonight's Weird Circle tale unfolds, many of you will note a familiar ring to the style of plot structure used by the master storyteller Ambrose Bierce, the incisive, racy style of the modern writer. Written before the First Great War, the middle toe of the right foot still carries the modern touch. In short, the works of good writers live on through the years. It's the same with Ogden's fine-cut tobacco. A long time back, when Ogden's first came into prominence as the top choice of roll-your-own cigarette fans, smokers were talking about and praising Ogden's. Today, just as then, Ogden's remains the popular choice of Canadian roll-your-own cigarette smokers, a fact that can be attributed only to unvarying excellence right down through the years. Try Ogden's for real smoking enjoyment. You'll agree Ogden's is easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. And now back to our story. Sheriff Tom King, years ago, had been attracted to Gertrude Brewer, but ended his courtship when he learned that she lacked a middle toe on her right foot. She soon married the well-to-do but eccentric Robert Manton. This marriage ended in tragedy, for several years later the town was horror-stricken to learn that Manton, in a frenzy, had cut the throats of his wife and of their 2 children. Manton escaped. The house has been empty for 10 years.
Well, that's the story of the Manton murders. And a morning I'll never forget.
Well, I don't wonder. It's a horrible story. Tom, you may be interested to know that this Grossmith, or whatever his name is, sitting near us here, has been glaring at you and taking in every word you said.
Why the impudence? What do you think we ought to do about it?
That's easy. Sir, I think it would be better if you'd remove yourself to the other end of the veranda. You are evidently not used to the company of gentlemen.
I'll not be spoken to that way.
Why, you ill-bred lout. You've listened to every word we've been saying.
Now, easy, Rosser. You're a bit hasty and unjust. This gentleman's done nothing to deserve such language.
I'll not take back a word. This man has been annoying me all day.
Hold that tongue of yours, sir, and I'll cut it out.
You will you?
It's the custom of the country to demand satisfaction for an unwarranted blow. I now demand it of you.
I'll give it gladly.
I have no acquaintance in this place. Perhaps you, sir, will be kind enough to represent me in this matter.
You mean me? Well, I don't especially like your manner or your manners, but I suppose I shall have to consent. My name is Sancher. Yours is Grossmith, I believe.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Sancher.
And you, King, will act for me, of course. What's the matter? What are you staring at?
He's looking at me, and I find it most objectionable. Why do you look at me like that, Mr. King?
I find you very interesting, sir. You're giving me an idea.
Oh, I've had quite enough of this. Get on with the arrangements, Mr. Sancher.
Very well, sir. I'll toss a coin. As challenger, Mr. Grossmith has first call. If he wins, he may choose either the weapons to be used or the spot where the affair is to take place.
Right. Satisfactory, gentlemen?
Toss the coin.
Here goes. What do you say, Grossmith?
Heads.
Heads it is.
Then I've got my choice of weapons.
Yes. What do you want, guns?
Certainly not. Knives. Bowie knives, and I insist that it be a duel in the dark with knives.
Knives? I thought so. You like knives, don't you, Mr. Grossmith?
Now, hold it, Tom. It's up to Rosser to say where this duel's to be.
Well,
I'll speak for you, Rosser. As your second, it is my privilege to make the arrangements.
All right with me, King.
Well, then, gentlemen, meet me here in 3 hours.
Right.
It'll be dark then, and I shall drive you to the place I have chosen for this strange encounter.
Mr. Sancher, I depend on you to buy the longest knives you can find in this town. I'll be here at 9 o'clock. But for now, I've had enough of you gentlemen's company.
Look here, Tom. What the devil have I got myself into?
A duel. A duel with knives. And, just as he says, in the dark.
But I didn't bargain to get ourselves into a mess like this.
You realize that we have the choice of place, don't you? Well, don't worry. Nothing's going to happen to you, Rosser.
Well, as second to this fellow Grossmith, I must ask you, King, what you're planning. Is it some sort of practical joke?
Not exactly a joke, Sancher.
Well, where is this place you have in mind?
A rather appropriate spot. Remember the haunted house I showed you today?
You mean where the Manton murders were?
Exactly. It will be the most perfect setting. And now, if you and Rosser will only help me carry out my plan tonight when we get to that Manton house, this is what will happen. Go up. All right, here we are.
Come on. Get out, Grossmith. This is the place. What are you waiting for?
By heaven, this is a trick.
Well, of course, Mr. Grossmith, if you're afraid of spooks, why...
I'm afraid of nothing. I'm coming.
The choice of place for this duel was ours, Mr. Grossmith, and we have chosen this house. Go in, please.
Boy, it's dark as Hades.
Well, here, wait a minute. I've got a candle. I'll light it. There. That's better. Now, here's the room.
The dust is a foot thick.
Yeah, these infernal cobwebs. They're like rotting cheesecloth.
Come, gentlemen, I'll hold the candle high so you can look into the room. It is large and square, as you see. No fireplace, no furniture. Only this door and 2 windows, which are boarded up. It will be utterly dark. Mr. Sancher, is everything all right?
I think the gentlemen should remove their hats, coats, and vests. All right, but I don't see the sense to it.
Shall we leave them here in the passage?
Yes.
Very well.
And now, gentlemen, here are the knives. They are exactly alike. You may examine them by the candlelight, and while you do so, I shall search you, Mr. Rosser. Nothing. Now, let me hold the candle, King, while you search my principal.
Right. Well, I'm satisfied. Well, Sancher, I think we're ready. If it is agreeable to you, Mr. Grossmith, will you place yourself in that corner, the one farthest from this doorway?
Well, I can't see a thing.
Feel your way along the wall. And now, Rosser, you here in this corner nearest the door.
Right.
Now, gentlemen, you are both in position. Remember, you are not to start fighting or move until you hear the closing of the outer door. I shall now blow out the candle. There. There's the darkness you asked for, Grossmith. We leave you now. Good luck, Rosser. Goodbye, Mr. Grossmith. Are you with us, Rosser? Right behind you. Then here goes the outer door.
All right, Rosser. Come out of that corner. My knife is waiting for you. My knife. I love a knife. I'll carve you up, you blackguard. Well, why don't you say something? Rosser, where are you? Come out of that corner. Very well, I'll get you. You sniveling fool, are you afraid? Oh, a corner. But I'm getting nearer to you, Rosser. Why don't you move? The door. Now. There's no one here. Rosser, where are you? I'll get you. Rosser, speak. And I can't hear a thing. No footsteps. He's not in here. By heaven, I've been tricked. I'm alone. Alone in this house. What's that? Oh, I'm cold. It's getting cold in here. Oh, that glow of light. Well, who's there? No! You! You, not you! Not all 3 of you. No. Oh, go away from me. Stop! Don't come any nearer! No!
Come in.
What's the big idea of sending for me so early in the morning? Oh, hello, Sancher.
Hello.
Did he get you here, too?
Yes, he did. Well, Tom, what is it you want?
Boys, that hoax we framed up last night doesn't look so good this morning.
How do you mean?
It's got me in a spot. You see, there's something about that fellow Grossmith I didn't tell you in Sancher. I drove right back to the house after I left you boys last night, and though I called and yelled at him, there wasn't a sound. He wasn't there. And he didn't come back to the hotel.
Well, what do you care? I never want to see the fellow again.
But I've got to find him.
Well,
I never should have let him get away.
Just what do you mean by that, Tom?
Well, I mean just this. When Grossmith challenged you, I thought I recognized him. Yeah, that fellow isn't Grossmith at all.
Huh?
He really is...
Hello, Tom. I guess I'm early.
Ned Brewer. Well, I didn't expect you here this early.
Well, I got tired waiting for you and the county commissioner.
I'm glad to see you again, Ned. You know Sam Rosser, the advocate?
Of course. How do you do?
Welcome back, Ned.
And this is the commissioner, Mr. Sancher.
Glad to meet you, sir.
How do you do?
I'm Gertrude Manton's brother.
I guess so. Well, Mr. Brewer, the county will be glad to give over the custody of the farm, and since you're here, we might as well drive right out there and get the business over with. What do you say, Tom?
Sure. I'd like it mighty well if Rosser here came along as a witness.
Well, why not?
Of course. Make a good feature story for my paper. But I bet it will bring back powerful, unpleasant memories to you, Brewer, to see that Manton place again.
I wish I didn't have to come out here. This place drives me crazy. Such ghastly recollections. I can't ever forget that day.
No, nor can I, Ned. It was stark horror. Unbelievable. Poor Gertrude.
What happens now, Mr. Sancher?
Well, we wait here till noon.
It's nearly that now.
Good.
And then, if no other claimant puts in an appearance, the state law says I hand the custody of the place over to you as the rightful heir.
I don't know what I'll do with the place. I certainly never want to see it again.
Now, let's go inside.
The door's unlocked. Well, there's nothing here for anyone to take anyway. Gloomy, isn't it?
What a ghostly effect, that light filtering down from the upstairs windows.
I remember this room to the right here. I thought so. It's empty. Wait. Come here, quick.
Huh? What? What is it?
What's in that far corner? I think it's a man.
It must be Grossmith.
Hey, you! Hey, Tom, wait. This man's dead. Stone dead.
Why, he can't be. Rosser, kick out some of those boards so we can get some light in here.
Right. I'll help you, Rosser. All right.
There. He's been dead for some time. He's rigid.
There's his knife on the floor. But there's no blood on it.
Look at his hands. Palms out and those claw-like fingers shielding his face.
There's not a mark on him. See if you can help me lower his arm.
Certainly. There. Look at those wild, staring eyes and that half-open mouth. Can you figure out why he died, Tom?
This man died of sheer terror. Don't you agree, Ned? What? Why, Ned, what's the matter?
By heaven, Tom. It's Manton. Look, you saw him once at our place, didn't you?
Yes, but he wore a beard then and long hair. But you're right. This is Manton.
Manton? Grossmith was Manton? Tom, Brewer, do you see what I think I see in the thick dust?
Where?
What? There on the floor. Leading from the door straight across the room to within a yard of Manton's body.
Footprints. Bare feet.
3 parallel lines of them. This is awful.
A woman's footprints in the center, and on either side, the marks of children's feet.
Look at that. This nearest print of the woman's foot. The middle toe is missing.
The middle toe of the right foot.
Gertrude. My sister Gertrude.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have brought you the story, The Middle Toe of the Right Foot. Bellkeeper, pull the bell.
Tonight's presentation brings to a close the present series of Weird Circle stories at the Ogden's Playhouse. For the past 39 weeks, we've brought you the great mystery classics by the world's master storytellers with the thought that in the entertainment offered you would find enjoyment. If the presentation of this Weird Circle series has attained that objective, Ogden's feels that the purpose of the series has been met. Till we meet again, then, here's a reminder. Try Ogden's Fine Cut Tobacco. You'll find Ogden's easy to roll, delightful to smoke. Yes, easy to roll, delightful to smoke. If you smoke a pipe, try Ogden's Cut Plug. It's a smooth, mellow pipe tobacco.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have heard another immortal tale in The Weird Circle. Bellkeeper, toll the bell. Be here in this lonely cave by the restless sea once again next time for another immortal tale in The Weird Circle.
Our next broadcast was one of the premier drama programs of the golden age of radio and was subtitled Radio's Outstanding Theater of Thrills and focused on suspense thriller-type scripts, usually featuring leading Hollywood actors of the era. Approximately 945 episodes were broadcast during its long run, and more than 900 still exist. The protagonist was usually a normal person suddenly dropped into a threatening or bizarre situation. Solutions were withheld until the last possible second, and evildoers were usually punished by the end. We present to you Suspense on HOJO Radio.
This is the Man in Black, here again to introduce Columbia's program, Suspense. In our starring Hollywood cast this evening is Mr. Peter Lorre, who appears as a mysterious gentleman called George Ravel. Miss Wendy Berry plays our worried heroine, Marjorie. Mr. George Zuko is the lawyer, Alex Stevens. The story called The Moment of Darkness is tonight's tale of suspense. If you have been with us on these Tuesday nights, you will know that suspense is compounded of mystery and suspicion and dangerous adventure. In this series are tales calculated to intrigue you, stir your nerves, to offer you a precarious situation and then withhold the solution until the last possible moment. And so, with The Moment of Darkness, and with the performances of Peter Lorre, Wendy Berry, George Zuko, and our other players, we again hope to keep you in suspense. The Train Bleu crack express train from Paris to the French Riviera, which in these carefree days before the war used to make the journey from Paris to Nice overnight. At the Gare du Sud, on this particular mild spring evening, the train with its glistening wagon-lits or sleeping cars waits in a station filled with smoke and the iron coughing of engines. You can hear the excited crowd and the slamming of compartment doors. You can see the guard standing by with his watch in hand, with his horn ready to blow as a signal. En voiture, messieurs les voyageurs! En voiture!
Better get in, Emily. The train just about ready to start.
Commotion there. The last moment just before the signal, a girl in a light summer dress, carrying a small suitcase, hurries along the platform towards car number 10. The girl is blonde and evidently English, and as she hurries towards the guard...
En voiture! Dépêchez-vous, mademoiselle. Hurry up, please.
Oh, yes, of course. Is this carriage number 10?
Oui, mademoiselle, numéro 10. Hurry up, please.
Thank you. I'll get in.
Et maintenant...
Must be at least a mile long. Car 10. Compartment number 6. Compartment number 6. Compartment... Oh, here it is.
Yes, come in.
Mr. Stevens, Oh, I beg your pardon.
That's quite all right. Won't you come in?
I thought this was Mr. Stevens' compartment.
It is his compartment. I'm sharing it with him.
He is on the train, isn't he?
Oh, yes. He's going to look for some luggage that failed to turn up. In the meantime, won't you come in and sit down?
Thank you.
As an old friend of Toby Stevens... Why do you smile?
Nothing. It's just odd to hear a dignified man like Mr. Stevens called Toby. That's all.
Well, it suits him. As an old friend of his anyway, may I introduce myself? I'm Ken Blake, on vacation from the American consulate in London.
How do you do? My name is Gray, Marjorie Gray. I most particularly wanted to have a word with Mr. Stevens.
Miss Gray, will you pardon my impertinence if I ask...
Ask what?
Whether it's about your Aunt Hester at Monte Carlo, and the man who seemed so determined to scare her to death.
You know about that?
Yes, a little. After all, that's why Toby's left his law practice and come all the way from London. He said...
Mr. Stevens.
Marjorie! Great Scott, what are you doing here?
I came up from Monte Carlo, especially to see you. I thought I'd find you in Paris, but when I got to your hotel, they told me you'd gone. Cook said they'd reserved a compartment on this train for you. So, well, here I am.
But why?
Before you see Aunt Hester, Mr. Stevens, I want to know what you meant by that letter you wrote me.
I meant exactly what I said, Marjorie. I'm going to expose this faker, George Revel.
Excuse me, if you two want to talk, I'll just clear out of here.
Oh, no, Ken, stay where you are.
Really, Mr. Stevens?
You've made an impression on her, Ken. When a girl suddenly becomes thoroughly British after spending half her life on the Riviera, well, you've made an impression.
Don't talk like that, Toby. She won't get annoyed with you for saying it. She'll just get annoyed with me.
Marjorie, this is Ken Blake.
We've met, thanks.
I asked him to come along with me, and for a very good reason.
Indeed?
Ken was for years at the American consulate in Paris. He knows all the heads of the Sûreté Générale, that's the Scotland Yard of France. And in particular, he knows the great detective Flamand, who's the chef de Sûreté. I thought Ken might be very useful when we nab Revel.
But I tell you, Revel is dangerous.
Dangerous, my eye.
Something's going to happen. I know something dreadful's going to happen.
Now, let's face the situation, Marjorie. Your Aunt Hester is middle-aged, wealthy, and,
Oh, if only Uncle Paul hadn't died. He was the decentest person I ever knew.
But he did die, my dear, and Hester can't be consoled. She can't eat, she can't sleep, she can't think of anything except getting in touch with his spirit. Along comes this faker Revel to give seances.
I wonder if he is a faker.
You're not falling for this Tommy rot, surely?
Really, Mr. Blake, if I'd asked for your advice in this matter...
I beg your pardon, Miss Gray. When we get to Nice, I'll take the first train back to Paris.
No, wait, please. I didn't mean to be rude. It's nice of you to help us, but it's the whole atmosphere of Monte Carlo.
Well, that's quite all right, my dear. We understand.
Of course.
There's Aunt Hester in that villa over the Mediterranean. There's Revel, all thin and quiet and swarthy, with those somber-looking eyes of his. He seems to dominate her, just as Mr. Stevens used to.
Dominate her, my dear? That's rather a strong word for an easygoing old buffer like me.
The things Revel does at those seances are terrifying. I don't know whether he's an imposter or not, but I am sure nobody else can do what he does.
Now there, Marjorie, is where you're wrong. I can.
You can?
Yes. I promise to duplicate in front of your aunt every single trick Revel ever performed.
Oh, but that's impossible.
Is it? Wait and see.
I'll put it up to Mr. Blake. It isn't merely that Revel is tied up, tied hand and foot in a chair, while these horrible things are going on. I know there are people who can get out of ropes and back into them again. But Revel lets you take one precaution that shows there can't be any trickery.
Oh? And what is that precaution?
Just before the lights go out, he takes a piece of white paper.
Well?
He puts one under each foot. You take a pencil and draw an outline around the shoe on the paper. If he moved the millionth fraction of an inch, it would show in the outline later. But it never does.
Well, look here, Toby, that's a bad one. Why does it strike you as being so funny?
Because I can do it, too. Just give me a moment of darkness, that's all.
You mean he gets out of his shoes or something like that?
No, he could hardly get out of his shoes and back into them without disturbing the outline.
Then he doesn't leave his chair after all.
On the contrary, he can be all over the room.
Well, how in Satan's name does he do it?
My dear fellow, there's nothing simple.
The Villa Bijou, Monte Carlo, the next evening. On the lighted terrace, that white villa, overlooking the olive groves and the sea, 3 people are seated at their ease, enjoying the night air. Below glitters the town, a white palm garden. But even its lamps are dimmed by the firework illuminations from the Promenade des Anglais. When the Principality of Monaco celebrates its ruler's birthday, great rockets go hissing upwards to burst and bloom in colored fires against a black sky.
I don't like those fireworks. The noise upsets me. I wish they'd stop.
Never mind the fireworks, Hester. You've heard my proposition. Give me an answer.
Oh, what's more, you spilled broth on your jacket at dinner. You're the clumsiest eater I ever saw. Here. Let me take a handkerchief to it.
Please, Aunt Hester, won't you answer Mr. Stevens?
Why don't you two let me alone, both of you?
We're only trying to help you. Don't you believe that?
Oh, yes, I believe it, but I'm happy. I talked with my husband twice last week.
Now, look here, Hester. This has got to stop.
Why?
Ravel's a fraud, and I can prove it.
If Monsieur Ravel is a fraud, what is he gained by this? Has he not asked for money?
I don't know, has he?
No, not a penny.
You haven't changed your will by any chance. People do queer things sometimes that even their solicitors don't know about.
Oh, no, dear, I haven't changed my will. When I die, Marjorie inherits everything. I am a lonely woman. I'm getting old. I haven't got much to look forward to. Now, why don't you go your way and let me go mine?
Suppose Ravel is a fraud. Just suppose it.
Well, all right, have your way.
You wouldn't like to think you'd been deliberately tricked and imposed on now, would you?
Well, no.
Now listen, Hester. If I prove to you these so-called miracles were really tricks that I can do myself.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, Alex Stevens.
I offer to prove that here and now. Would that shake your faith a little?
Yes, I suppose it would. But how did you become so clever all of a sudden?
How did you become so gullible all of a sudden? You used to scoff at this sort of thing. You used to be gay and lively and go to the casino.
Well, that was before Paul died. You're shivering, Marjorie. If you feel cold, put on a wrap.
I'm not cold. It's only...
Only what?
Oh, got a kind of presentiment that there's something dreadful hanging over us. I can't tell what direction it's taking or who's in danger. But I'm sure it's going to burst. Just as sure that...
By George, look at that rocket.
Yes. Red and gold stars. And a deathly white blaze like the life we're living. You can see every leaf in the garden. Every blade of grass.
And we can also see... Look there. Ravel and Ken Blake coming up the path.
This Ken Blake, Mr. Stevens. Are you sure he's quite honest?
My dear Marjorie, Ken's all right. I've known him for years.
I thought he came here to help expose Ravel. But he and Ravel are as thick as thieves. What sort of game is going on here?
Game, mademoiselle? You spoke of a game?
Yes, Monsieur Ravel, I did.
So did I, friend Ravel. Are you ready for my demonstration tonight?
Demonstration?
In the seance room upstairs. You claim you can bring back the dead.
Pardon me, monsieur, I claim nothing. When I'm in trance, I cannot tell what happens.
But I can. I'm going to make ghosts walk by perfectly natural means.
You know, Monsieur Stevens, I don't understand your logic.
Logic?
Yes, you wish to, how do you put it? Expose me? But how will you expose me by these childish tricks? If I show you a counterfeit 10-pound note, does that prove there's no Bank of England?
I'm not going to argue subtleties with you. You can always beat me there. I'm a plain, ordinary man with a little common sense to back me up.
No. Come on, my friend. Not an ordinary man, surely.
Just exactly what are you hinting at?
Yes, I'd like to know that, too.
Oh, Madame Hester, believe me, I didn't mean to upset you. I wouldn't upset you for anything.
No, I'll bet you wouldn't.
Well, I kiss your hand, Madame. I'm all apologies. Well, let this gentleman do what he likes. But I warn him, it is dangerous.
Dangerous? How is it dangerous?
That's the first time you've spoken, Mr. Blake. Why have you been so quiet?
Please, Marjorie, please now, be a good girl and stop interrupting.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aunt Hester, but he's been muttering to himself and moving from one foot to the other and looking guilty.
Confound it, I'm not looking guilty.
Aren't you?
No, it's a hot night. I don't like this business at all. Why will a seance be dangerous?
Why? Because we shall be tampering with evil forces.
Evil forces, my foot.
Oh, you doubt it?
Yes.
This brave Monsieur Stevens is challenging the unseen world. He's mocking at forces he does not understand. Believe me, monsieur, they are not mocked without danger.
I'll risk that, thanks.
Well, up in a seance room, with a door bolted on the inside, we shall be at their mercy. The evil forces, the elementals, will wax and grow strong. They can take us in their grip, as I take this walking stick and...
You've got strong hands, Monsieur Ravel.
The hands of evil spirits are stronger, much stronger.
I'm afraid. I wonder if we ought to do this.
I've been wondering the same thing. What does your aunt say?
Well, I don't know what to say. I'm so confused. And I want to break down and cry. I suppose we'd better do it, or Alex Stevens will never let me hear the end of it.
For the last time, monsieur, will you be warned of danger?
No.
Very well. Oh, Madame Hester.
Yes, Monsieur Ravel.
Do you believe that I'm an impostor?
No, dear, of course not.
But in your heart, you're not yet convinced.
Well, I don't know. I'm not such a fool as some people seem to think.
But if something did happen, something to show there are living forces beyond this world,
It would convince you utterly?
Oh, yes, I suppose it would.
Then, shall we allow Monsieur Stevens to go on with his demonstration?
I have a feeling we shouldn't do this. Oh, I'm afraid.
Upstairs at the Villa Bijou, there is a small, bare, deeply carpeted room. Its only furniture consists of a round table, 5 chairs, and a large cabinet phonograph. There is only one door, and there are no windows. In one chair, a little way back from the table, sits Mr. Alexander Stevens. He is tied hand and foot, the outline of his shoes drawn with pencil on pieces of paper, so that he cannot move.
Now then, friend Raphael. Have you quite finished tying me up?
Oh, yes. Yes, and I bet you won't get out of these knots, sir.
Well, we'll see about that. Are the rest of you ready?
Yes, all right.
Oh, dear, I wish I'd put some smelling salts in my handbag.
Well, what do you want us to do now?
You'll have conditions exactly as they are for Mr. Ravel. I'll sit in this chair back from the table. You 4 sit round the table, clasping hands to form a circle.
All right, let's get on with it.
Ken, will you start the gramophone? I believe it's customary, Mr. Ravel, to have hymns played at the beginning of a seance to establish the proper frame of mind.
Yes, monsieur, that's true. You fool.
What did you say?
Oh, nothing, monsieur. Please continue.
Start the gramophone, Ken. When you've done that, turn out the lights on that switch by the door. Then join the circle. Clasp each other's hands tightly and don't let go unless...
Unless what?
Well, unless something gets me.
Be careful, monsieur.
Go on, please. Start the gramophone.
All right, here goes.
Now the lights, Ken. Switch off the lights.
Lights? Yes. There you are. It's pitch dark. I can't see my way back to the table.
Here, Ken. Here's my hand.
Thank you.
Mine on the other side, Mr. Blake.
Thank you. I've got my bearings now.
Are all of you clasping the hands of the next person? Then quiet and wait for what's going to happen.
Ken, look.
Look where?
Over there, where Mr. Stevens is sitting.
What about it?
There's a luminous spot in the dark, about the size of a shilling.
Shh. Quiet, please.
Did anything touch the back of your neck?
No.
What was that? Where's Alex Stevens? I know it.
This was not on a program, madame. Break the circle and get those lights on.
The luminous spot is still there. Oh, hurry, Ken.
I can't see my way in the dark. I don't know which direction the lights are. Wait a minute. Here's the wall. If I grope along here, I ought to find the switch. Yes, here it is. Lights.
Quiet. Silence, mademoiselle, if you please.
What's wrong with Mr. Stevens? What's that sticking out of his chest?
The handle of a dagger. And a good deal of blood has soaked through his coat, too. Oh, Monsieur Blake, will you turn off this gramophone?
Yes, certainly. But you're not saying that Toby Stevens is dead?
I'm afraid he is, my friend. That's a direct heart wound. Perhaps 10 seconds of intense agony, and then the end. Oh, is the door still bolted from the inside?
Yes.
Then we are all alone, here, the 4 of us. This rash gentleman, one imagines, did not kill himself. He's too well tied up.
I know who killed him. Mr. George Ravel. You did, with luminous paint.
I killed him, mademoiselle? With luminous paint?
I mean, that was part of the trick. You tied him up. You were the only one who touched him.
And? What of that, mademoiselle?
Luminous paint doesn't show up in the light. You smeared a little of it on his coat. That showed you exactly where to strike in the dark.
I commend your good sense, madame. But there are 2 excellent reasons why I had nothing to do with this. The first reason I must keep to myself, but the second reason can easily be proved.
Well, what is it?
Well, up to the time that man screamed, you yourself were holding my right hand, and Madame Hester was holding my left hand. Did either of you let go at any time?
No. No, that is, I didn't. What about you, Aunt Hester?
No, Marjorie did. I didn't let go either. He never moved.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Well, monsieur, speak up.
I was holding Marjorie's hand on one side and her aunt's on the other. And they didn't move either. Nobody let go or left the circle.
That's true.
Consequently, none of us could have killed Toby Stevens.
Yes, it is true.
Somebody must have sneaked in here.
Oh, no. As you said yourself, the door is bolted on the inside.
Then who the devil did kill him?
Well, that's the question. Has anybody ever seen that dagger before?
No. It looks like one of those curio things you buy in the shops.
Yes, and with the design of wooden scroll work on the handle. No fingerprints will show. Nothing else, except some musical instruments. A tambourine, an accordion, and a speaking trumpet. You know, I blame myself for this.
You ought to.
Why?
Because you killed him. Don't ask me how, but I know why.
Indeed, mademoiselle. You found my motive.
Yes, I have. You've got Aunt Hester fully believing in you now, haven't you?
Easy, Marjorie.
In another minute, you'll be talking about forces and elementals and heaven knows what. You'll be saying it was a spirit hand that killed Mr. Stevens, because nobody else could have.
Please, Marjorie, brace up. Someone's got to send for the police.
Why don't you send for the police, Ken? Couldn't you help us there?
Help you? How?
Mr. Stevens said you knew the heads of the Sûreté. He said you knew this man Flamand, who's supposed to be the greatest detective in France.
Oh, but this isn't French territory. Monte Carlo is the independent state of Monaco.
I'm sorry, Marjorie. Ordinarily, I might have helped.
You mean you won't help us?
I'm sorry, Marjorie. I can't.
Then I've got to help myself. George Ravel, you killed Mr. Stevens. But how?
Yes, how?
24 hours later, 24 hours of blind puzzling. In the railway station at Nice, 9 miles from Monte Carlo, the night express for Paris is already underway. The guard has blown his signal, and the great wheels grind. A young man, hatless and worried, pushes through the crowd past the already moving train.
Non, monsieur. C'est défendu. Vous êtes trop tard.
Too late, nothing. I'm getting aboard this train.
Prenez garde, monsieur. Prenez garde.
I'm sorry to have caused you any trouble, guard. But do you happen to know whether... Marjorie.
Ken Blake. What are you doing on this train?
Exactly the question I wanted to ask you. Walk along the corridor with me, will you?
All right.
Marjorie, you little idiot. What's the idea of running away?
If it's any of your business, Mr. Blake, I'm not running away. I'm merely going to Paris.
You were told to stay in Monte Carlo. Don't you know you can land in jail for this?
They'll put you in jail, too, won't they?
Yes, I suppose so. But what's the idea of going to Paris?
First of all, I had to get Aunt Hester away from that man, Ravel. She really thinks he can call up ghosts now.
Is your aunt on this train?
Yes, in that compartment there. Second, I'm going to Paris for some real help. I'm going to the Sûreté. I'm going to see this man, Flamand.
You won't find Flamand in Paris, Marjorie. And you'll certainly never get him to arrest Georges Ravel.
Oh? And why not?
Because, my dear idiot, Georges Ravel is Flamand.
What are you saying?
The man who calls himself Ravel is really Flamand, the head of the whole French Detective Bureau. He made me promise not to tell anybody.
And that's why you've been looking so guilty for 2 days.
Yes, I tried to tip you off today, but the police were with us all the time.
So he is a fake spiritual medium. Mr. Stevens was right about that. And I still say I'm right about the other thing. Whoever he is, Ravel killed Mr. Stevens.
But how and why?
Oh, I don't know. This alleged detective. Did he tell you why he was masquerading as a medium in Monte Carlo?
No. All I know is that we're in one sweet mess. We've left town without permission. They'll probably stop the train and send us back in a patrol wagon.
Oh, no, my friend. That won't be at all necessary.
Ravel!
Yes, mademoiselle. Ravel or Flamand. Well, since you know me as Ravel, call me that.
You knew that I was on this train?
Oh, naturally.
Look here, old man. I kept quiet about you because you swore it was a matter of life and death. But will you answer a couple of questions now?
Oh, with pleasure.
Why did you pose as a medium?
Because the Monacan government employed me to trap a murderer. So I had to work, how do you say, undercover.
All right. Why was Toby Stevens killed?
Stevens was killed because he was a blackmailer.
A blackmailer?
Yes, mademoiselle. Does that surprise you?
Yes. Oh, yes, of course. Very much.
I tried to warn Stevens, but the fool wouldn't listen. And then, well, I wasn't quick enough. Stevens was murdered, of course, by one of us 4 in the seance room.
Well, that's impossible.
Impossible? Oh, no. The trick was baffling because of its simplicity.
I'm sure you killed him.
One moment, mademoiselle. Let me show you what I mean by trick baffling because it is so simple. Take, for example, the pencil outline drawn on a paper around the medium shoes. Did Stevens tell you how I did that?
No. On this train 2 nights ago, he started to tell us that...
Then he just stopped in the middle of it and laughed.
You see, the medium leaves his chair. Well, he makes tambourines rattle and ghost forms appear. Yet the pencil outline is not disturbed. Now, how does he manage it?
Well, how does he manage it?
Well, quite easily. He returns to his chair. He turns over the 2 pieces of paper. He takes another pencil and draws an outline of his shoes on the reverse side of the paper. You look at it.
And imagine it's the same outline we drew.
Precisely. So easily are people misled. And it was the same way with a murder.
But there couldn't have been any trick about the murder. None of us left the circle. We were all clasping hands when we heard that scream. Don't you agree?
Huh? Oh, yes, I agree.
I can't stand this any longer. When we heard Mr. Stevens utter that horrible scream...
What makes you think it was Stevens who uttered that scream?
I beg your pardon.
What makes you think it was Stevens who screamed?
Well, wasn't it?
Oh, you assumed it, yes. We all assumed it. But up to that time, Stevens wasn't even hurt.
Wasn't hurt?
You see, the source of sound cannot be located in the dark. It was the murderer who uttered that appalling cry. In a few seconds of darkness, before the lights went on, the killer simply leaned across and drove that dagger into Stevens' chest.
And you prove that?
Yes. If Stevens had been hit at the time of the scream, blood would have blotted out the spot of luminous paint. Yet, Marjorie Gray saw the paint shining after the scream.
That's true, Marjorie. I heard you say so.
You put the luminous paint there, Ravel. You were the only person who touched him.
Oh, no. There was one other person who touched him.
Who was it?
Another person, in full sight of you, said Stevens had spilled broth on his coat and swabbed at his chest with a handkerchief.
You mean?
I mean, of course, the real murderer. Your Aunt Hester.
Yes, Marjorie. Your Aunt Hester.
Aunt Hester!
Keep back, all of you.
Oh, so you managed to find the revolver?
Marjorie, I poisoned your Uncle Paul. I poisoned my husband. And Alex Stevens knew it.
You can't get away, madame. Keep away from that door.
I never believed in spiritualism. I let myself be influenced by a medium because Alex Stevens would try to stop it. He was getting money out of me. He wanted no other influence.
Don't open that door, madame.
But I am opening it.
Oh, Aunt Hester, don't.
I told you I wasn't as fool as I looked. I had the knife in my hand.
Stop her, Ken, stop her!
Well, mademoiselle, she has committed many crimes, but now she has paid for them all.
And so closes The Moment of Darkness, starring Peter Lorre, Wendy Berry, with George Zuko. Tonight's tale of suspense. This is your narrator, the Man in Black, who conveys to you Columbia's invitation to spend this half hour in suspense with us again next Tuesday, when Agnes Moorehead and Ray Collins will star in a study in terror titled The Diary of Sophronia Winter. The producer of these broadcasts is William Spear, who with Ted Bliss, the director, Wilbur Hatch, and Lucian Morowick, conductor and composer, and John Dixon Carr, the author, collaborated on tonight's Suspense.
This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You're listening to HOJO Radio. More classic old-time radio coming your way next.
Suspense. Tonight, The Diary of Sophronia Winters, starring Agnes Moorehead and Ray Collins.
Suspense is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you
Suspense. This is the Man in Black, here for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California, who tonight from Hollywood bring you as stars Miss Agnes Moorehead and Mr. Ray Collins. Miss Moorehead and Mr. Collins will appear in A Study in Terror, written especially for them and for suspense by the distinguished radio playwright Lucille Fletcher. But before we take you to the scene of our drama, let's conjure up a scene of our own.
Let's imagine ourselves in sun-drenched Havana, dining in the gay Club Montmartre. As you listen to the music, you put down your wine glass to tell our host how much you enjoy his hospitality. Part of the credit belongs to Cuba, he smilingly acknowledges, but part of the credit belongs also to your country for producing this excellent wine, which adds so much to our enjoyment. For this is Roma Wine from California in your own USA. Now, it is a fact that connoisseurs of many other lands know the excellence of Roma wines, made in famous wineries located in the heart of the choice wine districts of California. But millions of Americans also know these things and have made Roma by far America's largest selling wines. Here at home, Roma wines are truly inexpensive. No duty, no overseas shipping costs to pay. And for only pennies a glass, your meals, your entertaining can have the added delight of superb Roma wines. You will find them of truly excellent flavor and character, fine products of age-old winemaking skill perfected by modern quality controls and tests. Ask for R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, made in California, for enjoyment throughout the world.
And now with the Diary of Sophronia Winters, and with the performances of Agnes Moorehead and Ray Collins, we again hope to keep you in suspense.
February 1st, St. Petersburg, Florida. I, Sophronia Winters, have hereby begun this diary because on this date I feel for the first time that I've begun to live. Diaries are no good unless one has thrilling experiences. For 40 years, I've never had what could really be called a thrilling experience, but Papa's death has changed everything. Here I am in beautiful St. Petersburg with everything to start life anew, money in my purse, 2 suitcases full of new clothes, and a gorgeous new permanent wave. And Florida is really the land of romance. It doesn't matter whether you're 17 or 70. There are parties and dances and bingo games and flirtations for all. My landlady, in fact, tells me that people often become engaged and even married to perfect strangers overnight. I'm still shy, of course, but just the same, it's such fun and so thrilling to think one's fate may be just around the corner. February 3rd. Oh, diary, it is beginning. This morning when I came out of my lodging house to go down to the beach, I noticed a man, a thrilling-looking man, sitting across the street on a bench. It was just as though he were waiting for me, because when I came out, he sort of started up as though he knew me. Of course, I didn't speak first, but I knew the minute I started down the street that he was following me. Well, I got to the beach and sat down with my magazines, and suddenly there he was, strolling toward me with a broad smile.
Well, sitting out here all by your lonesome?
Oh, yes, I am.
Been down here at St. Pete long?
Oh, just 3 days.
3 days? That's a long time. It's a wonder I didn't spot you before.
Mr.
Johnson's the name,
Johnson.
Hiram Johnson. I came from Green Harbor, Maine. Run a big hotel up there summers. Well, that's my whole history in a nutshell.
Oh, my name's Sophronia Winters.
Sophronia?
Yes.
Well, you know, that's quite a coincidence. My sister-in-law's name was Sophronia.
Oh.
Sophronia Johnson. You ever heard of her? She looked quite a bit like you, too.
Sophronia Johnson?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm afraid I haven't. Who was she? Someone very famous? I'm so ignorant about these
Well,
things.
that's all right. Say, look at that sun, will you? I'd say it was pretty nearly time for lunch. You know, Sophronia, it's kind of mysterious, us finding that 9-point starfish on the beach together. My sister-in-law, Sophronia, used to collect 9-point starfishes. To think your name's Sophronia. You find a 9-point starfish with me. Well, it kind of draws us together, huh?
Diary, darling, he is wonderful. Strong, kind, warm-hearted, so generous. I feel as though I knew him completely, as though I'd known him all my life.
What's the good of waiting, Sophronia? I've got to be back at the hotel in a week. We may never see each other again.
Oh, Hiram, don't say that. I couldn't bear
Then
it.
let's do it right away, tomorrow. There's a parson out on Coral Avenue who'll do the job for us. We can take a nice moonlight drive out to the alligator farm. Afterward, have a nice short dinner. Then climb on board the Orange Blossom tomorrow night from Maine.
Maine. Oh, it's all so wild, so mad, so thrilling. But what would your family think? Wouldn't they be shocked?
Oh, my family's all dead. I'm my own boss.
I'd have to help you run that big hotel. I wonder whether I could do it, meeting all those people.
Oh, don't worry about that. Just think of Maine. The big, dark pine woods, the sand, the bay. The two of us alone together.
The two of us, alone together. February 7th, on board the Orange Blossom. I was married in a wedding dress of Alice Blue Moray, with a frill of white organdy at the collar and wrists, and a rhinestone belt buckle. Hiram sent me talisman roses. I'm pressing one precious flower between the pages of this diary for luck.
We'll see it beyond this bend in a couple of minutes. Bags heavy?
No, not particularly, dearest. Oh, I can't get over that taxi man at the station. Imagine his insolence, saying he didn't want to drive us.
There's the place.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to look until I put down these bags. Now, where?
There. Through those big pines.
Oh. It is big, isn't it?
125 rooms.
So many fire escapes and balconies and porches and towers. I stayed in a hotel like that once, years ago, with Papa. It was very fashionable and...
My grandfather built that place 50 years ago. It hasn't been changed much since.
No. Of course you put in modern plumbing.
Not yet. Well, here we are. Walk in.
What's that?
Just a foghorn out in the bay.
Fog?
We get it almost every night in this kind of weather.
What are you locking the gate for?
Why not? There's nobody coming in after us. Or going out again for a while.
But I thought you said the
The
hotel...
hotel's empty.
Empty? Hiram?
What is it now?
Hiram, darling, I know it sounds silly, but let's not go in there tonight. Let's wait until morning.
Why?
Oh, just because it's so dark and empty. There's not a light in the whole place, and no one's expecting us. What'll we eat, and where'll we sleep? Let's stay in the village just for tonight.
I've got things to eat and a place to sleep. Come on.
Oh, my arm! Hiram! Hiram!
You remember my telling you down in Florida about my sister-in-law, Sophronia? Well, that's her. Over there on the wall. Take a look at her.
Hiram, darling, just now you hurt me. Do you realize that? You twisted my arm.
I said take a look at her. Tell me what you see.
Well, the glass is very dusty. She must have died many years ago. Her face is sweet. It's very sweet. Her eyes, something very sad and wistful about her eyes.
She was a murderess. She was hanged in Portland 25 years ago for the murder of my brother Ephraim. Here in the lobby of this hotel. She murdered him in cold blood with an axe. That fire axe hanging over there on the wall. It was a summer day. There were guests sitting on the front porch in the rockers. It was just after lunch. My brother Ephraim was sitting at the desk counting his loose change. My mother was crocheting an antimacassar in that old wicker rocking chair. Sophronia came downstairs, humming a hymn.
Oh, don't, Hiram. Please, don't tell me anymore.
Why not?
Well, it makes me nervous to hear it like this in this big, shadowy lobby. And your eyes, Hiram. Hiram, you're acting so strange. What's the matter with you, Hiram? I know it was a terrible tragedy, but it happened 25 years ago.
Don't touch me, Sophronia.
Don't touch you.
Do you remember what I said to you in Florida?
What did you say? You said a million sweet and wonderful things to me,
I
Hiram.
said you resembled my dead sister-in-law. Look at her again. Look at her closely. Sophronia.
Why? Oh, no, I can't. It's too horrible. I can't look at her face with any pleasure now, knowing she was a murderess.
You're afraid to look, is that it?
No, not afraid.
You...
Hiram! Please, my arm. Well, very well. I'll look.
Now, stand there quietly. Like that. Take off your glasses. That's all I wanted to see. That's all I wanted to see.
February 12th, Green Harbor Hotel, Maine. I cannot understand it. I try to fathom it, but my head aches and my heart is heavy. The hotel is deserted, unchanged, and apparently uninhabited for 25 years. Wash bowls and pitchers still stand in the empty rooms, covered with spiders and cobwebs. Dust is everywhere, and the printed regulations on the walls are tattered and yellow with age. A row of broken rocking chairs on the front porch faces emptily out to sea. Can he mean this to be my home? He's downstairs now in the shabby parlor off the lobby, playing the harmonium.
Sophronia?
Yes? Yes, Hiram?
Sleeping?
No, dear.
Well, why is your door locked? Come out. I want to show you around the place.
It's all right, dear. I've seen it. I've seen just about everything.
No, you haven't. You haven't seen the grounds at all.
The grounds? But Hiram, it's after midnight.
I want to show you where my sister-in-law, Sophronia, is buried.
Well, not tonight, dear. Please, it's so late and I have a headache.
Open the door, Sophronia. I want you to come now.
No, I shan't. Now go away and let me alone. I won't.
It's no use carrying on like that. You see, I've got passkeys to all the doors. And beyond, where those 4 birches are standing, is where my sister-in-law, Sophronia, was laid away 25 years ago. It was the biggest funeral in the neighborhood. Folks crowded outside the gate with the dozens trying to get a look, but we wouldn't let them. Buried her ourselves, without a service, out here by herself on the grounds. Ephraim is buried in town, but not Sophronia. I had a feeling that I'd have to keep an eye on her even then.
Keep an eye on her?
Oh, I knew she was one of those restless sleepers who wouldn't stay quiet in her own grave. I knew before the year was out she'd find some way to start roaming around, hunting for mischief again. She was a young she-devil to the core, Sophronia. They could hang her till doomsday, and it wouldn't do any good.
You mean you think she haunts this hotel?
No, not this hotel. She never had any use for it, dead or alive. No, she makes for the warmer climates. She was always a cold-blooded little fish, freezing and shivering all the time. It's places like California and Texas. And Florida she makes for.
Florida?
Yeah, that's one of her favorite haunts. Particularly around St. Pete. She likes the flowers and the sun. And the romance.
Hiram, I feel cold. Do you mind if I go inside now?
Just a minute. I haven't explained everything. You think I'm crazy, I guess. Crazy. But I'm a lot smarter than some people give me credit for. Because, you see, I have found her. Now. 3 times. Do you, see that grove of birches over there? Under every one of them's a grave. I've found her wandering the earth in disguise 3 times. And I've killed her 3 times. And it still doesn't do any good. She's still restless.
You mean you've killed 3 different women?
So now I keep another grave to remind her. It's waiting now. Would you like to see it, Sophronia?
No, Hiram, no, please.
Are you afraid to see it,
No,
Sophronia?
Hiram, you don't mean to say that you think just because my name happens to be Sophronia and that I look a little like...
Think what, Sophronia?
Nothing. February 14th. My mind is made up. I've made a terrible mistake. I must get away from this place. I must get away from Hiram as quickly as I can. I shall wait for dusk, when he generally sits down in the parlor and plays the harmonium. I can hide a little earlier in one of the deserted rooms. And then, when his back is toward the lobby, slip out the front door.
Sophronia! 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 Oh, there you are. Why, what's the matter? Anything wrong?
No, Hiram.
You didn't want anything outside, did you? Because if you do, you'll have to ask me to get it for you. You see, I always keep this front door locked.
Yes, yes, Hiram.
The back door, too. And all the doors leading out into the porches and the fire escapes, and a good many of the windows. It makes one feel safe from thieves and peeping Toms. Oh, you've got a cold. Oh, that's too bad.
Yes. Yes, I must have caught it last night, outdoors. The damp.
You ought to be in bed, a good one. The only good bed in the house is in my sister-in-law Sophronia's old room.
Oh, no, Hiram. I'm all right. It's just a little head cold.
Oh, little head colds often develop into pneumonia. It's too bad I didn't think of that before. You might have slept in it from the very beginning. Here, up these stairs. Why, what's the matter? Are you so weak?
No, I'm all right.
This room's the cleanest in the hotel, too. I've always had a sort of suspicion about that. Yeah, you see? I've kept everything as it was. What's the matter?
Nothing. It's just...
Seems kind of familiar?
No, it's just that seeing it so clean. Seeing it as though someone were living there, as though they'd only just stepped out for a moment.
It's just as she left it that afternoon when she walked down to murder my brother. You see her needlework on the table with a needle sticking in it? Her hymn book still open? She was very fond of singing hymns, Sophronia was. Had a nice voice, too. I used to accompany her. I'll turn down the bed for you. Then you can get undressed while I go and make you some hot tea.
No, I don't want any.
Here's the closet. You can put on one of Sophronia's dressing gowns.
Diary, I'm beside myself. I shall go mad. 2 hours have passed since he locked the door on me. Night has fallen. I'm alone. Alone in this horrible room with its hideous little mementos of death. I'm sitting here at her little wicker table, trying to be calm, trying to write this. Somehow, when one writes about a thing, it doesn't appear so real. My hand is just brushed against her needlework, her hymn book. I can't bear having them near me. I must get them out of my sight anywhere in that closet or bureau drawer.
Ready for your tea?
No. Yes, Hiram.
Oh, why aren't you in bed? You'll take worse colds, you know.
Well, I'll get in bed in a minute. First,
Brushing up on your needlework again.
My needlework?
You've got it in your hand.
Have I? Oh, yeah. Yes, so I have. Oh, but I wasn't working on it, Hiram. I swear I wasn't. I've never done a stitch of needlework in my whole life. I don't know one embroidery stitch from another. Now, let me show you. Look. I don't even know how to hold the needle.
Get into bed, Sophronia. You're feverish.
Before we go on, Hiram, before you go on thinking, we've got to have an understanding. You've got to let me explain. I was born in 1892 in Kalamazoo, Michigan. My name is Sophronia, that's true, but they named lots of people Sophronia. I was named for my grandmother. She just died.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you've got to listen to me. I lived in Kalamazoo all my life. My father was vice president of the Kalamazoo First National Bank. Everybody in town knew him, and they know me. If you'd only just write a letter or send it, why? I never heard of Green Harbor my whole life. I never went anywhere.
No.
For almost 10 years, I stayed home day in and day out, nursing Papa. He had a stroke. I wasn't out of the house. It was a red brick house with green shutters. February 15th. Now I live only from moment to moment, listening to each creak upon the stairs. Oh, my cold is growing worse. I've been in bed all day. It's night now. The foghorn has begun to blow again. February 19th. I woke up early this morning after a wretched night, and the date was burning in letters of fire in my brain. If he's planning to kill me, it'll be today. But the hours have been crawling on. It's almost midnight. Why does he torture me like this? I would rather be dead than sit here in this room one moment longer. If he doesn't come in 5 minutes, I shall force him to come. I shall beat on the door. No. Rather let me sit quiet praying that he doesn't come. Oh, I want to live. I want to live.
Sophronia!
It's come.
Sophronia, come downstairs. I want you to sing me a hymn.
Sing. He never asked me to sing for him before. But she sang. I can't sing, dear. I told you that long ago.
Did you? Well, I've forgotten.
And besides, how can I come downstairs when my door's locked?
It's unlocked. Try it.
Unlocked? Oh, no. How could it? Oh, it is, and I never knew it.
Coming?
Oh, you unlocked it sometime while I was just sitting. Why didn't I try a few more times?
Sophronia!
Yes, Hiram. I'm coming. Hiram? Where are you?
In here. In the parlor.
What are you doing there, Hiram?
Waiting to hear you sing.
You're at the harmonium?
Yes.
All right. I'll sing. I haven't sung in years, but I might as well. I'll sing for you out here in the hall. My voice will carry better.
It always did carry better in the hall, didn't it, Sophronia? So you remember that, too. Of course, you know both the front and back doors are locked.
Yes, Hiram, dear.
Shall I sing, too, Sophronia? Would you like me to sing along with you?
If it pleases you, Hiram.
Work, for the night is coming. Work in the morning sun. Work, for the night is coming. When man's work is done. Work while the daylight darkens. Work in the summer sun. Work, for the night is coming.
Well, man's work is done. There's only one more page. Shall I read it to you?
Yes, go ahead.
March 22nd. I've been sick, I think, for a very long time. The pages of my diary are blank, but I shall take you out again, poor diary, today and start you over again. No, I shall never look back at the other pages. I shall only write on and on about this nice, quiet place, so that no one reading this diary will ever know that I did it. But I did do it, diary. I was smarter than he. When I opened that door at the head of the stairs and heard the music, when I saw the fire axe still hanging on the wall. I was so cautious, so terribly cautious. I tiptoed like a little mouse, even as I sang the hymn into that room where he was playing. If the reflection of that axe had so much as glimmered across the wood, if he had turned. But I was clever, so much cleverer than he. I kept on singing. And now I'm free. Free as a bird. I'm free, and he shall never catch me now. Not this time or ever again. Because he's dead. Isn't he, Nurse? Nurse, isn't my dear brother-in-law, Hiram, really dead?
Yes, miss, he's dead. And now I'll thank you to hand me over that diary. The doctor doesn't approve of the patient's writing anything.
And so closes The Diary of Sophronia Winters, starring Agnes Moorehead and Ray Collins. Tonight's study in Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by William Spear.
It's my job, it's my privilege, to tell you how much pleasure and enjoyment you can add to everyday living by serving Roma wines with meals, when entertaining, or any time. And in hot weather, let me suggest Roma wine cooler offers. Just put ice cubes in a tall glass, half fill it with your favorite Roma wine, then fill it up with sparkling water. For a sweeter drink, just add sugar and stir. Ah, that, my dear people, is really something. And it's so simple, so good, and so inexpensive. It's a fact. The cost of Roma wines is only pennies a glassful. Get Roma wines today. Enjoy them regularly. If your dealer is temporarily out, please try again soon. Just be sure you ask for ROMA, Roma Wines, America's largest selling wines, made in California, for enjoyment throughout the world.
Agnes Moorehead appeared through the courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer and is currently being seen in their production, Dragon Seed. Next Thursday, same time, in an unusual feature performance, Suspense will bring you, in his first appearance as an acting storyteller, the noted American novelist and playwright, Mr. Ben Hecht. Sharing honors with Mr. Hecht as star of the performance will be Mr. Frederick March. You won't want to miss hearing Frederick March and Ben Hecht in Actor's Blood, which will be next week's tale of suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, ROMA, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Our next broadcast brings together everything that was good about old-time radio rolled into one. The title itself almost sums up the very essence of what radio drama is all about. Each of the episodes was a microdrama, carefully planned to capture the listener's attention. Over 200 episodes were made, and almost all of them are as good today as they were over half a century ago. For the first few years the series was on air, the announcement at the start of the show varied almost every week, but by the 1950s, it had settled down to be the now famous, tired of the everyday grind? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape on HOJO Radio.
Because you know that this ship carries a cargo of death.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, at your request, we bring back one of our most popular escape stories. We escaped to a harbor front in Venezuela, and a grim voyage which started from there, as told by Martin Storm in his gripping tale, A Shipment of Mute Fate.
I stopped on the wharf at La Guaira, picked up the gangplank toward the liner Chankay, standing there quiet at our moorings. The day was warm under a bright tropic sun. The harbor beyond the ship lay drowsy and silent. But all at once, in the midst of those peaceful surroundings, a cold chill gripped me, and I shivered with sudden dread. Dread of the thing I was doing and was about to do. But too much had happened to turn back now. I'd gone too far to stop. I set the box down on the edge of the wharf, placed it carefully so as to be in plain sight, and within gunshot of the captain's bridge. I knew what I was going to do, but I couldn't forget that a certain pair of beady eyes were watching every move I made. Eyes that never blinked and never closed, just watched and waited. I turned and started up the gangplank.
Oh, you startled me, sir. Why, it's Mr. Warner.
Hello, Mother Willis. How's the best-looking stewardess on the 7th Sea?
Why, I'm fine, Mr. Warner. I guess I'd better run along now. Get on with my show.
Oh, now, wait a minute. That's a fine greeting after 2 months.
It's just that I'm so busy.
I don't believe a word of it. Sailing day's tomorrow. You're simply avoiding me, that's all.
Oh, no, really, I'm not.
And on the trip down from New York, you said I was your favorite passenger.
But I'm only...
Here. What's that you're carrying in your apron?
Oh, it's nothing. Just supplies.
Supplies? Let's have a look.
No, please.
It's a cat.
It's Clara, Mr. Warner. Mr. Bowman said I had to leave her ashore, and I just couldn't.
Who's Mr. Bowman?
The new second mate. Clara's been aboard with me for 2 years, and I just can't leave her here in a foreign country. Especially with her condition so delicate and all.
Yes, I see. Well, I hope you get away with it.
You won't tell anyone?
Not a soul. As a matter of fact, if things don't work out right, we may both end up smuggling.
I was happy to have you aboard on the trip down 2 months ago, Christopher, and I'm very glad you're coming along with us on the run back to New York.
Well, thanks, Captain Wood. There is one thing, though. I'm having a little trouble with the customs men here, and I wanted
I can't do it, Christopher. I just cabled your father this morning. Told him I'd have done it for you if I possibly could. He sent a request from New York, you know.
Yeah, I thought he would. I wired him from upriver last week.
I hated to refuse, but it's absolutely out of the question.
Captain Wood, I'm afraid I don't follow you.
Responsibility for the passengers, son. We'll have women and children aboard. On the liner, the safety of the passengers comes ahead of anything else.
But with proper precautions...
Something might happen.
What?
I don't know what, but something might.
Carried worse things.
There isn't anything worse. Any skipper afloat will bear me out. No, Christopher, I simply can't take the chance. Final.
Final. Wasn't final if I could do anything about it. I hadn't come down here to spend 2 months in that stinking backcountry and then be stopped on the edge of the wharf. 2 months of it. Heat, rain, insects, malaria. I'd gone clear in past the headwaters of the Orinoco. Traveled through country where every step along the jungle trail might be the last one. Sanchez!
Sitting in the wonder.
Better start looking for a place to camp. Be dark in a little while.
Si, senor. Very soon we'll turn to rebel. Camp on rocks by water. This very bad country.
This very bad country. We've been saying it for 10 days now. Very bad country.
Si, Senor Warner. This very bad country.
Yeah, skip it. For all that we've had so far, it might as well be Central Park.
Central Park? I don't understand.
Never mind. Yeah, what's the matter? Quiet now! Sanchez, what's wrong?
We're in the park. See, Bushmaster.
Bushmaster. The deadliest snake in the world. Bushmaster. His Latin name was Lachesis muta. Mute fate. It lay there in the center of the path, a 10-foot length of silent death, coiled loosely in an undulant loop, ready to strike violently at the least movement. Here was the one snake that would go after any animal that walked, or any man. It lay there and watched us, not moving, not afraid, ready for anything. The splotch of its color stood out like some horrible gaudy floor mat lying there on the brown background of the jungle, waiting for someone to step on it. Here was what I'd come 2,000 miles for. A bushmaster. The natives captured the snake and Sanchez brought it to me in a rubber bag. He was shaking so hard I thought for a moment the thing had struck him.
One thing you make sure, Senor Warner. Not turn him loose in Venezuela. Because he know I the one who catch him. And he know where I live.
All right, Sanchez, I'll keep an eye on him.
He also know you pay me to catch him. All the time he watch and wait. You no forget that, Senor Warner, because he no forget. Not ever.
Well, after going through all that trouble and danger and laying out $1,500, I wasn't going to let a pig-headed ship captain stop me at the last minute. At least not as long as the cables were still in operation between LaGuardia and New York. Good morning, Captain Wood. The boy at the hotel said you wanted to see me.
That's right, Christopher. Sit down.
Thanks.
Seems you went with that matter stand where we left him yesterday.
I'm sorry to go over your head, Captain Wood, but I had to. The museum sent me a long way to get that snake. I'm not going to stop by red tape. It'll be the only live bushmaster ever brought to the United States.
Yes, if I had my way, but... Orders are orders. Got a cable from the head office this morning. All right, Christopher, suppose we talk about precautions.
I'll handle it any way you say.
You've got to have a stronger box. That crate's too flimsy.
Well, it's stronger than it looks. A wire screen on top would hold a wildcat. But anyway, I bought a heavy sea chest this morning. We'll put the crate inside of it.
Sounds all right. You got a lock on it.
Yeah, a heavy padlock. It's fixed so the lid can be propped open a crack without unlocking it. Snake's got to have air.
In dirty weather, that lid has to stay shut. I'll take no chances.
Fair enough.
We'll keep the thing in my inside cabin where I sleep. You can't have it in the baggage room. And nobody on board is to know about it.
Whatever you say, Captain. We won't have any trouble after all. It's only an animal. It doesn't have any magical powers.
I saw a bushmaster in the zoo at Caracas once. They had it in a glass cage with double walls. It never moved. Just lay there and looked at you as long as you were in sight. Enough to give a man the creeps.
Didn't know they had a bushmaster at the Caracas Zoo.
They don't now. They found the glass broken one morning and the snake gone, the night watchman dead. They never learned exactly what happened.
Well, the watchman must have broken the glass by accident some way.
The way they figured it, the glass was broken from the inside. We sail in 4 hours. Into the Caribbean with perfect weather and a sea as smooth as an inland lake. The barometer dropped a little on the third day, but cleared up overnight, left nothing worse than a heavy swell. But in spite of the calm seas and pleasant weather, I found myself feeling more and more often an ominous foreboding. I was developing an almost unnatural fear of that snake. To stay clear of the passengers pretty much, got the habit of dropping into Captain Wood's quarters several times a day. Kept the heavy box underneath his berth. Approach it quietly and shine my flashlight through the open crack. Not once could I catch that 12-foot devil asleep, or even excited. He'd be lying there half-coiled, his head raised a little, staring out of those beady black eyes, waiting. He'd still be like that when I turned away to leave. Maybe that's what bothered me, that horrible and constant watchful waiting. In the name of heaven was he waiting for?
Hello there, Mr. Warner.
Oh, how are you, Mother Willis?
My, but you and the captain spend an awful lot of time around this cabin. I'm beginning to think the two of you must have some guilty secret.
No, nothing like that, Mother Willis. I don't know about Captain
Captain Wood, but I certainly don't have any guilty secret. Well, she's running quite a swell out there, Mr. Bowman.
Yeah, it's a little heavy, all right, Mr. Warner. Guess the storm passed through to the west of us yesterday when the glass dropped.
You think it missed us then, huh?
Yeah, that's what the mate figures. Sure stirred up some water, though.
This will put half the passengers in that bunk. They'll keep Mother Willis so busy Hey, look at the size of that wave.
Huh? Great sea hot side. We're going to take it on the port bow. Hang on!
That was a freak if there ever was one. Not another wave that size in sight.
Oh, you see them like that sometimes, even in a calm sea. I got to get below, Mr. Warner. That water probably did some real damage in the officer's deck.
Yeah, what did you say?
The wheel companionway was open on the port side. The bridge cabins must have taken a pretty bad smashing up. They're right below the... Something wrong, Mr. Warner?
No, nothing at all, Mr. Bowman. At least I hope not. I didn't stop to find Captain Wood. Of course, I knew it was only one chance in 1,000, but the chances against that freak wave were 1 in 1,000, too. I stumbled down the companionway and along the passage to the captain's cabin.
Oh, come in, Mr. Warner.
Mother Willis.
My, isn't this cabin a mess? Trying to get some of these things out to dry.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to... Where's that box that was under the captain's bunk?
Oh, that? Well, I just threw it out on the deck.
What?
Well, the desk over there slid into it. It was all smashed.
But the small box inside of it, what happened to it?
Oh, they were both splintered, Mr. Warner. Broke wide open.
Oh.
Oh, Mr. Warner, you're white as a sheet.
Mother Willis, go find Captain Wood. Tell him to come down here immediately.
Well, of course, Mr. Warner. I'll go tell him right away. I can finish up here later.
I pulled open the top drawer of the bureau inside. Took out the captain's flashlight and loaded pistol. Mother Willis had left a mop stand by the door. I put my foot on the head of it and snapped on the handle. Every move I made turned into slow motion. I could hear my own heartbeat. Slowly, I started to search the cabin. Sodden heaps of clothing and furnishings were scattered around on the wet black floor. I punched at them one at a time, holding the gun cocked, flashlight pointing along the stick. Nothing. I worked around the room, throwing the light into the dark corners, back of the desk, under the bunk. Wherever I turned, I could feel those cold, unblinking eyes at my back, watching, waiting. Using the stick, I pushed open the closet door and threw the light inside. Carefully, I poked at the boxes and junk on the floor. Snake was not in the closet. Inch by inch, I covered the entire cabin. And only then a horrible realization began to dawn on me. Captain Wood.
Mother Willis just told me. Well, Christopher, it's happened.
That's right, it's happened.
I see you found the gun. We better start searching the cabin here.
Captain Wood, I just finished searching it.
Oh, then. Women, kids, and that thing loose on board. 1,000 places for us to hide. Heaven help us, Christopher. No use starting to blame anybody now, gentlemen. I didn't call you in here to pass judgment. The thing's done, and that's that.
Well, you're right there, Captain.
What we have got to do is to make up our minds how we're going to handle it.
And it'd be easier if we didn't have to tell the passengers and crew. I've seen panics aboard liners before.
Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Bowman. But I don't quite see how we can avoid it.
They got a right to know. As long as that snake's loose, everybody on board's in the same danger, and they all ought to know about it.
Captain Wood, that thing is 12 feet long. It can't simply crawl into a crack. Why don't we make a quick search of the whole ship before we spread any alarm?
I've thought of that, Christopher.
As far as I can see, the only place it couldn't be is in the boilers or on top of the galley stove.
Well, it might have crawled overboard.
We can't count on that. We've got to assume it's on the ship somewhere.
Yeah, and that could be anywhere. In a coil of rope, on a deck chair.
Fire bucket, or in a pile of clothes.
Yes, or under some woman's berth or a baby's crib.
You've already said it. Bush, it could be anywhere. We've got to do something. We've got to do it fast.
All right. I think the best idea is to follow Mr. Warner's suggestion and make a quick search first. You agree to that?
Right.
And if we don't find it, we'll have to warn the passengers.
We've got to find it. Alone in the dim baggage room, I went through the same movements as I had earlier in the captain's cabin. Gun in one hand, flashlight in the other, poking into every dark corner, behind every trunk and box. Since the baggage room was empty, I could keep the gun cocked and ready. The rest of those poor devils were having to do the same thing, barehanded.
All over the ship, the search went on.
Here now, Stuart, what on earth are you doing rummaging through my cabin?
Just checking up, ma'am.
Well, I'm quite sure there's nothing in here that has to be checked.
Sorry, ma'am. Captain's orders. It'll only take a few minutes.
Well, I never heard of such a thing. A passenger simply doesn't have any privacy at all. I've traveled on a lot of different lines, but I've certainly never heard of it.
Sorry, sir. I wonder if you mind moving over to the other rail. I'd like to look through these lockers.
Sure, go ahead. What's the matter? You lost something?
No, just looking things over.
Oh, there's nothing in there but life preservers.
Yeah, that's right.
You must be getting ready to sink the boat. Gonna collect the insurance, huh? Gonna send us all to the bottom, huh?
But not one of us could find that deadly shape, coiled in some dark corner or outstretched along a window seat. Not one of us caught a glimpse of that horrid head with its beady, black, watchful eyes. The thing lay waiting out there somewhere along the decks, shaded in the gathering dusk. But where? We didn't know. It was nearly dark when we met together again in the chart room.
Well, gentlemen, there's no other way around it. We've risked all the time we can. We've got to warn the passengers.
How'll we do it, Captain? Call them all together in the lounge?
No, if we did anything like that, we'd be asking for a panic.
We'll get one, whether we ask for it or not.
And we pick a few men and go through the cabin decks. Get them individually, inside their cabins. Watch for anything that acts like they might cause trouble. Keep an eye on them. Handle the crew the same way.
Right, Captain.
As soon as you're finished, arm all the deck officers and start searching again. Our only chance of preventing a riot is to find that damnable snake.
The slow nightmare that followed grew worse by the hour. None of us slept. All the ship's officers not on duty kept on with that endless search. Passengers locked themselves in their cabins or huddled together in the lounges, knowing all the time that no spot on board could be called safe. Fear was a heavy fog in the lungs of all of us, and every light on the vessel burned throughout the night. Morning came, brought no relief. Terror and tension mounted by the hour.
There now, Mrs. Crane, stop getting yourself all worked up and go back to your cabin.
Oh.
The horrid thing's probably crawled overboard anyway.
You're paid to say that. You don't know. Nobody knows.
Now, everything's going to be all right.
If only we can do something. If all of us could only get off the ship, they could fumigate it. That's it. We've got to get off the ship. We've got to get off the ship.
Wait! Mr. Bowman, she's going to jump. Get over.
Hold it on, lady. Nice work, Mr. Bowman. Get her down to her cabin. And whatever you do, don't turn loose.
You never know when it might strike you. You can't put on a coat or move a chair without risking your life. Something's got to be done. It might be right here in this lounge.
Yeah, all right. Better quiet down and take it easy.
Take it easy. You're a great officer. Why don't you do something about it? That thing might be crawling around here right under our feet somewhere.
I said shut up. Are you trying to start a panic?
I got a right to talk. I don't want to die. Nobody's going to tell me what.
The second night passed. Morning came round again. A gray and rainy day that dragged past. And then night came down again. Third night of the terror. Again, every light burned. The whole ship seethed in the throes of incipient panic. Faced by a horror they'd never met on the sea before, crew and officers alike were on the verge of revolt. Passengers sat huddled in a trance-like stupor, ready to scream at the slightest unknown sound. 7 bells, I made my way forward to the chart room, found Captain Wood bent over a desk.
Oh, hello, Christopher. Come on in. Sit down.
It's got to be somewhere, Captain Wood. It's got to be.
I don't know. You could search the ship for 6 months and never touch all the places aboard. If we can only hold out for 2 more days, we'll be in.
What's the Home Office say?
Use the latest wireless from them. Keep quiet and keep coming. What else can we do? How is it on the decks?
Pretty bad. Anything could happen.
Yes, that's why I took the guns away from the men. 1 pistol shot and we'd have a riot on our hands.
Whole thing's my fault, Captain Wood. That's what I can't forget. If there was only some way I could pay for it myself alone.
No. I know how you feel. But it's no more your fault than mine, or the man who asked you to bring that snake back alive. Nobody planned this. You'd better try to get a little sleep, boy.
Sleep?
Mr. Bowman made some coffee down in the steward's galley a while ago. Why don't you go on down and get yourself a cup? Then rest for a couple of hours, huh?
Rest? I can't rest.
Christopher, Not going to help anything if you stumble through a hatch half asleep and break your neck, is it? You go and get some coffee. One way or another, we've got to hold out for 2 more days.
Light was on the steward's galley. Coffee pot was standing on the stove. Still warm, so I didn't bother to heat it. Poured out a cup, carried it over and set it on the porcelain tabletop in the center of the room. Started to light a cigarette. The door of the pan cupboard beneath the sink standing slightly ajar. I happened to glance toward it. I dropped the cigarette, moved slowly backward. I'd found the Bushmaster. As I moved, the snake slid out of the cupboard in a single sinuous glide, drew back into a loose coil on the galley floor, never taking his eyes off me. I moved slowly back, waiting any moment for that deadly, slithering strike. How had he known it was me? He'd stayed quiet when Bowman was here. How had he picked the first time in 5 days that I was without a gun? My hands touched the bulkhead behind me and I stopped. Only then I realized in terror what I'd done. The call button and the door were on the far side of the room. I'd backed into a dead end. I stared at the snake in fascination, expecting any moment the ripping slash of those poison fangs. The horrid coils tightened a little, then was still again. 10 million years of evolution to produce this moment. Homo sapiens versus Lachesis muta. A man against mute fate. And all the odds were on fate. I knew then that I was going to die. Feel the sweat run down between the painted walls and the palms of my hands pressing against it. My skin crawled and twitched and the pit of my stomach was as cold as ice. There was no sound but the rush of blood in my ears. The snake shifted again, drawing into a tighter coil, always tighter. Why didn't the devil get it over with? Then, just for an instant, his head veered away. Something moved over by the stove. I didn't dare turn to look at it. Slowly, it moved out into my line of vision. It was a cat. That scrawny cat Clara that Mother sneaked aboard in LaGuardia. Its back was arched and every hair stood on end. It moved stiff-legged now, walking in a half circle around the snake. The Bushmaster moved slowly and kept watching the cat. He tightened. He was going to strike at any second. He struck and missed. The cat was barely out of reach. Now she was walking back and forth again. She was asking to die. Missed again. By a fraction of an inch. He was striking now without even going to a full coil. Missed. Again and again, always missing by the barest margin. Each time the cat danced barely out of reach, and each time she countered with one precise shot of a dainty paw, bracing her skinny frame on 3 stiff legs. And then suddenly I realized what she was doing. The Bushmaster was tired. The one strike was just an instant slow, but in that split second, sharp claws raked across the evil head and ripped out both the lidless eyes. The cat had deliberately blinded the snake. He didn't bother to spoil now, but slid after her in a fury, striking wildly and rapidly, always missing. And every strike was a little slower than the last one, until finally... As the snake's neck stretched out at the end of the strike, the cat made one leap and sank her razor-sharp teeth just back of the ugly head, sank her until they crunched bone. Tooth and claw she clung as the monstrous snake flailed and lashed on the floor, striving to get those hideous claws around her, trying to break her hold, to shake off the claw in certain paralyzing death that gradually crept over him and at last stilled his struggles forever. I took a deep breath. First in minutes. The cat lay on her side on the floor, panting, resting from the fight just over. She had a right to rest. That mangy, brave, beautiful alley cat had just saved my life. And maybe others as well. But as I turned toward the stove, I suddenly became very humble. And I knew all at once what a small thing a human being really is. I and others aboard were still alive only by the merest accident. There were 3 reasons why that cat had fought and killed the world's deadliest snake. And those 3 reasons came tottering out from under the stove on shaky little legs.
3 kittens with their eyes bright with wonder, their tails stiff as poker. Up on the decks, hundreds of passengers were waiting for the news that the days and nights of terror were ended. They could wait a little longer. I pulled open the doors of the cabinet, found a can of milk. Then I dropped down on my knees on the floor of the galley.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight brought you A Shipment of Mute Fate by Martin Storm, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, featuring Harry Bartell as Chris Warner, Barry Kroger as Captain Wood, and Peggy Weber as Mother Willis, with Don Diamond, Sarah Selby, and Frank Gerstle. Special effects by David Light. The musical score was conducted by Wilbur Hatch. Next week,
you are hanging by your fingertips on the sheer face of an ice cliff, suspended 2,000 feet above instant death, with your strength running out, and with no chance for escape.
Next week, Escape with C.E. Montague's exciting story, Action. Good night, then, until the same time next week, when CBS again offers you Escape.
Thanks for listening to HOJO Radio. We have more classic radio coming your way next.
Are you upset with today's headline? Worried about the high cost of living? Want to get away from it all?
CBS offers you Escape.
You are the friend of a man living in debt, confidant of a ghoul, witness to a nameless terror. You are a guest in the House of Usher.
The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Escape, produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and carefully plotted to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to a gloom-shrouded moor and a house where dread holds sway, as Edgar Allan Poe recounts it in his famous story, The Fall of the House of Usher.
It is with some regret, but I believe it advisable that I identify myself only as a friend of Roderick Usher. Certainly the last and perhaps the only friend of that unhappy man. Having only one sister, he was the last male descendant of the ancient house of Usher. Roderick had been one of my boon companions in boyhood, but many years had elapsed now since our last meeting. And so as I held his letter in my hand, not yet opening it, I reflected with no little sadness upon the devious fates that chart our courses and drive old friends away from one another. But then a sudden feverish and nostalgic curiosity laid hold of me, and with fingers made clumsy by their eagerness, I tore open the letter and read,
My dear friend, my need of you has so far outgrown my pride that I'm going to request a favor which I realize full well may involve considerable inconvenience to yourself. For some time past, I have been suffering from an acute bodily illness intensified by serious mental oppression, if I may so call it. A horror which looms over me, a horror grown so great I dare no longer face it alone. And so, in all humility, and for the sake of years gone by, I beseech you to come to me at once, here to the family estate in the north. Should events conspire to prevent your coming, then only God may know the consequences. Your friend in desperation, Roderick Usher.
And so it happened that at the end of a dull, dark, and soundless day in the middle of October, I found myself as the shades of evening drew on, within view of the grim and melancholy House of Usher. I confess that the first sight of the house, the fungus-covered walls of stone thrusting their crumbling ramparts against the darkening sky, rising out of the sullen, sluggish waters of the black tarn at their base, the bleak and vacant windows staring blindly, the bone-white trunks of decaying trees, these things filled me with a nameless and desolate terror, so that I reined in my horse and sat trembling, half fearing to cross the wooden bridge that led over the waters of the moat and up to the entrance of the House of Usher. Then impatiently I shook off this strange feeling of dread, and was an instant later clattering over the wooden bridge and onto the courtyard. I dismounted quickly, tossed my reins to the silent lackey who approached, strode across the gravel and up to the massive wooden portal, the door of the House of Usher. Good afternoon. My name is...
I know. You're the friend of Master Roderick. Please come inside, sir.
Thank you. But may I inquire how it happens you know me?
You have been expected for some time, sir.
Yes, true. But also I'm a stranger to you and could be some other visitor.
That you could be anyone other than the friend whom Master Roderick expects, sir, would be impossible. You see, no one else would ever come to this house.
Then I followed his stealthy footsteps through many dark and intricate passages. My earlier foreboding heightened and was made fearful by the somber aspect of the hallways by which we passed. The many unused rooms reaching out with their vast emptiness like some hideous jungle creeper. But at length, we stood before the door of Master's studio, and there the servant left me, departed and left me to go in alone. The man across the room, half reclining on the couch, his back turned toward me, did not hear the opening of the door. For the space of several heartbeats, I saw only the deathly pale and ghastly sunken features of a stranger. Then only with difficulty could I recognize, behind that mask, my boyhood friend. For surely, under the light of heaven, no man had ever before so terribly altered in so brief a time as had Roderick Usher.
Oh, my friend, you come at last. Thank God you did come.
Oh, Roderick, did you not know I would? Could you not be sure that no long years would ever dim the friendship we shared in youth?
So many things have dimmed. Youth. It seems so long ago. But now you're here, and we'll find it, relive it all over again, every glorious moment of it. And all these shadows, all these gibbering phantoms that haunt me, they'll be driven out. And then the sun will shine again, and we'll be young again, and we'll live...
Roderick!
But forgive me, my friend. My excessive joy at the sight of you after so many years drives me into a frenzy of talk. How many years has it? No matter. It is enough that you are here, and brought with you all the lost, all the happy days of my boyhood.
But I'd expected from your letter to find you in serious straits indeed. Instead, you seem in the best of spirits.
You have the right to know. But In all frankness, here in your presence, I find it difficult to credit importance to those things which only yesterday filled me with terror. True, I have been ill. A nervous affliction, something in the nature of a family weakness, probably. It has affected me with a morbid acuteness of the senses, such that quite often the least sounds and odors and colors become irritating beyond endurance. I've eaten but little, as you can see.
But surely you've retained the services of a physician.
A physician? Oh, yes, of course. He calls almost daily, though it is more often Madeline that he attends. You remember my twin sister, Madeline? For her, I fear more greatly than for myself. Even today, she's taken to her bed, and I have no doubt will never rise from it again.
Oh, a tragedy. The sympathies of my heart go out to you.
Oh, but leave it for the present. Leave it to dream of all those happy days we left so far behind. Everything will be different now that you're here. Do you remember when you were 12?
But the happy forgetfulness which Roderick found in my coming was short-lived. And in a few days he had sunk into a morose torpor, from which only occasionally with frantic difficulty could he reach the joy of our first few hours of meeting. More often his mental apathy was broken by bursts of vicious temper and violent ill humor. This I could only excuse on the basis of his illness. And that illness began in my mind to assume a most mysterious character. Being unable to divine its true nature from Roderick's hesitant offerings, I took the liberty of questioning the physician a few days later when I chanced to encounter him in a hallway.
Yes, she's resting as well as might be expected.
But she continues to decline. Is that not correct, Doctor?
That seemed to be the case.
And the malady, the illness which has stricken her, is it the same as that which affects her brother Roderick?
I may venture that it is.
Might I inquire the nature of this illness?
As to that, I am unable to say.
You imply, then, that I have no right to the information?
Not at all. I am confessing to you quite simply, sir. I do not know what afflicts Madeline and Roderick Usher.
And so a week passed. A week in which the sullen, leaden skies darkened into deeper oppressiveness, in which Roderick's deathly pallor and creeping mental dissolution grew more apparent. A week in which the monstrous atmosphere of this ancient mausoleum began to crawl insidiously within my own consciousness, stirring into life a formless, unknown dread. Then one evening, we were sitting in the vaulted studio, while the first shadows of night began to flow together into pools of darkness. Roderick had been unusually troubled during the day, and had been trying to find some solace by playing on the violin. Of a sudden, there came a knock upon the door.
Stop it! Stop that infernal pounding, do you hear? Do you wish to drive me completely mad? Open the door and come in, come in!
It's the doctor.
Well, what is it? What do you want?
Master Usher, I regret that I must say this, but it is my sad duty to inform you that your sister Madeline is no longer living.
Madeline? My sister? Then she's dead?
She breathes no more.
Dead? And perhaps, my dear doctor, you can tell me what caused her death.
Unfortunately, I can only take refuge in the term heart failure.
Heart failure? Yes, of course. Very well, doctor. If you'll be kind enough to wait, I'll come down directly and discuss the arrangement.
At your service. I bid you good afternoon, gentlemen.
Roderick, I assure you of my deepest sympathy.
You do? Your deepest sympathy, the doctor regret, his sad duty. You fools, both of you fools!
I don't understand.
Haven't you seen it yet? Can you not feel it about you? The horrid, monstrous, brooding spirit of this accursed house. Can't you hear its evil laughter as it lurks in the hallways and draws hurt from the soul? My dead sister!
Roderick.
Can't you see that it matters nothing to me that she's dead? But I myself walk but a few steps behind her into the same shadows of hell. Can't you sense those hideous tentacles even now reaching out for me? For me! Oh, now, the last living, if it be living, the last living descendant of the accursed house of Usher.
Such was the passing of Madeline Usher, once living, now dead. And her very death untimely in its aspects, for to my trembling soul a portent of events yet more hideous, more horrible, and yet to come. At a later hour of that same sad night, Roderick came into my chamber to voice an intention so morbidly unnatural that for the moment I could only feel that his tottering reason had at last failed him entirely.
Then you refuse?
But Roderick, this is madness.
I tell you, before this night is over, the coffin body of my sister shall rest in the vault beneath this house, and if you will not help me, I shall do it myself.
But why? Why?
I could not stand to think of her buried out there in the dark graveyard, alone among the dead.
Roderick, she too is dead.
It's fantastic how little we know of death or of life. The doctor says she no longer breathes.
She is dead.
She was so lovely, was my sister.
Roderick.
I must keep Madeline near me.
Nothing but evil would come of such an act.
I can trust no one. But you, not even the physician himself. He hates us because he can't discover what it is that kills us. Even he might steal the body of my beloved sister, that he might learn our secret. You understand, don't you, my friend?
Yes, Roderick. Yes, I understand. And so it came about, near midnight. We two alone made our way to an upper chamber of the house. And taking up the black coffin between us, in the shuddering light of candles, we walked the tortuous passageways, slowly descended the curving stairs of stone, passed beneath the moldy level of the earth, forced open a massive and age-rusted door of iron, and stood at last, with our ghastly burden, in a subterranean, dank and musty crypt underneath the house of Usher.
Over here, my friend, on these trestles. Now, a trifle higher with the head. There. Oh, may you sleep in peace and dreams, sweet sister, from I who tread the same path soft behind you.
Come, Roderick. The thing is done.
Oh, wait. Stay a moment. We've not yet affixed the coffin lid. See? I've left it loose so it can be turned back.
No, I beg you.
Last farewell, no more. Look. Is she not beautiful?
Yes, she was very beautiful.
Was? Here it goes. The look of her confused me. But do you not see it, too? The warm glow of the cheeks, eyes shut softly, those lips half parted. Does it not seem that she may rise up and speak to us at any moment?
This gruesome place inspires morbid fancies.
Morbid fancies? But now dead, she seems to know that living seems already dead.
Man, you seek out madness. You court it with your very thoughts.
And if I do, what matters? What value can there be in reason without the hope of life? Dead, you say to me, she is dead. But what certainty? Why not with equal reason say instead she lives? And that I, the last of Usher, am the one who is already dead.
I prevailed upon my friend at last to leave that mournful place. And so with grim finality we secured the ebon lid, took up our flickering candles, and departed from the crypt, leaving it alone with its darkness and death. The ponderous portal closed behind it, and then my soul for one brief instant felt the dread and awful meaning of eternity. There followed then a week of such dreary gloom and melancholy that my own spirit quavered at the menace of the nameless thing enshadowed in that house. By perceptible degrees, the living soul of Roderick Usher flickered lower. More ghastly grew his pallor, more tremulous the extremity of his terror. The 8th day following the death of Lady Madeline fell upon the last day of grim and gray October, and brought with it as the curtains of night descended the fitful breath of a rising tempest, uneasy gusts of sodden rain, and the sound of sullen thunderous rumbles born of the dim flares of sheet lightning somewhere behind the lowering pall. I retired at a late hour, but found sleep impossible. At length, overpowered by some strange presentiment of evil, I found my reposeful inaction no longer endurable. And so I arose, threw on my clothes in haste, and fell to pacing the floor of my darkened chamber. Then in one instant, a soft sound in the blackness froze my steps in paralysis of terror. The latch of my chamber door was being lifted from without. Is it? Is it, I say?
It is I, Roderick.
Oh, Roderick. What are you doing up and about at this hour, in pitch blackness? Wait, let me light the candle.
No, I am quite used to darkness. I heard your footsteps and knew you must be awake even as I was. But can it be that you've not seen it?
I don't understand you. I've seen nothing.
Then stay. You shall see it. Even as I've seen it for these past 2 hours. Wait. I throw open the casement window.
It was indeed a tempestuous, sternly beautiful night, and one wildly singular in its terror and in its beauty. The exceeding density of the clouds which hung so low as to press upon the turrets of the house did not prevent our perceiving the velocity with which they flew careening from all points against one another. We had no glimpse of the moon or stars, but terrible to behold, the undersurfaces of the huge cloud masses as well as all terrestrial objects immediately around us were glowing in the unnatural light of a faintly luminous and clearly visible phosphorescence which hung like a shroud about the mansion itself.
My friend, the night the thing grows bolder, gathers strength from the storm and from the dead soul seeking.
No, Roderick, you must not look at this. Here, I shall close this window and pull these curtains. And now, candlelight. Such darkness is the very mother of evil fear. There. Now come, sit here. Suppose I read aloud from some book or another.
As you wish.
I presume it matters little which. Oh, here. There's a volume of The Mad Tryst by Canning. Will it serve?
As you said, it matters little.
I've always found the scene to be quite entertaining, wherein Ethelred dreams of fighting a dragon. Now, let's see. Wait. Here it is. And so Ethelred waited no longer to hold parley with the hermit who mocked him from inside the hut. But feeling the rain upon his back and fearing the rising of the tempest, uplifted his axe and quickly made a hole in the plankings of the door for his gauntleted hand. And now, pulling sturdily, he so cracked and ripped all asunder that the noise of the dry and hollow-sounding wood alarmed and reverberated of the forest.
Why do you stop?
Why, that's strange. I fancied I just heard the very sound I read about.
Let us say it was caused by the storm. They continue.
Yes, the storm. Of course. But Ethelred, upon entering the door, was amazed to perceive no sign of the evil hermit, but instead a dragon of prodigious and scaly demeanor, which sat on guard before a shield of shining brass. And Ethelred uplifted his axe and struck the head of the dragon, which fell before him with a shriek so horrid and harsh, like never before. What sound is that?
Sound? The shriek of a dragon, my friend. Read on.
Yeah. Very well. And now the champion, bethinking himself of the shield of brass, approached across the silver floor to where the shield hung upon the wall. But the shield, not waiting for his coming, loosed and fell upon the silver floor with a mighty great... Roderick, I tell you something moves within this house. That sound, it reverberated through the very walls. Can you tell me now you did not hear it?
Hear it now? Oh, yes, I hear it and have heard it long moments, hours, many days have I heard it. Yet I dare not speak. But why? Do you not know we put her living in the tomb? I tell you now, I heard her first feeble movements in the coffin many days ago, and I thought then it mattered little. But now she comes to upbraid me for my haste. And that last dread sound, yes, I heard it, the opening of a metal door to the crypt beneath the house. Now, she comes here. Have I not heard her footsteps on the stair? Do I not distinguish the heavy and horrible beating of her heart? Madman that I am, I tell you that she now stands without that door. But even now she'll hear it.
There in the flickering light of candles, in the gloom curtained doorway, stood the shrouded body of Lady Madeline. For one shuddering instant she swayed there. Then as Roderick uttered a single piteous cry, she fell upon him in violent and now final death agonies, and bore him to the floor, a corpse. Chamber and from that mansion, I fled aghast out the massive portal over the causeway into the night. Suddenly there shot along the path a wild light, and I looked back in heightened terror, for the vast house and its shadows were alone behind me. The baleful gleam came from the setting full and blood-red moon, which now shone vividly through a widening crack in the walls of the house itself, and even as I gazed, its figure opened rapidly. There came a fierce breath of the tempest, the entire lunar orb burst once upon my sight. My brain reeled as I saw the mighty walls rushing asunder. There came a long, convulsive shouting sound like the voice of thousand waters. And the dark, deep dawn at my feet closed sullenly and silently forever over the pitiful ruins of the ancient house of Usher. Escape
is produced and directed by William N. Robeson, and tonight brought you The Fall of the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe, adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, with Paul Frees as the narrator, Ramsey Hill as Roderick Usher, and Sheridan Hall as the physician. The special musical score was conceived and conducted by Cy Feuer. Next week,
you are the victim of a poorer man, pursued from the west coast of Africa to the west end of London by a dead man's head, which grins at you upside down.
next week, Escape with H.G. Wells' gripping story, Pollock and the Poorer Man. Good night then, until this same time next week, when CBS again offers you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting
Thank you for listening to HOJO Radio. We'll be back again very soon.